Cook County judge is blocking release of Laquan McDonald's juvenile records to the legal team of the Chicago police officer accused of murdering him. Juvenile court judge Patricia Martin agreed with attorneys for McDonald's mother that Jason Van Dyke has no right to the records of McDonald's troubled history as a ward of the state. Van Dyke is charged with murder for the shooting of McDonald 16 times in 2014 as McDonald walked away from police carrying a knife. Cook County grand jury indicts a high-profile Chicago activist on charges of assaulting police officers during a protest. 20-year-old Jamal Green says he'll plead not guilty. Prosecutors allege Green verbally threatened one officer and grabbed the belt of another. 2 Illinois Republicans considered among the nation's most vulnerable members of Congress are breaking from their party and Donald Trump to advocate for new laws that may include a path to citizenship for some living in the country illegally. Representative Bob Dole and Senator Mark Kirk spoke at an event in Chicago yesterday, arguing comprehensive immigration reform would help the state's economy. Lorenzo Cain's 2-out single in the 14th helped Kansas City beat the White Sox last night 3-2. Jason Hamill won his career-best fifth start, pitching 4-hit ball over 6 scoreless innings of work. Cubs beat the L.A. Angels 3-1. Bears sign offensive lineman Mike Adams. Bears announcing that move yesterday, and they host Denver tonight in the preseason opener. The news service up, Burger King's breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 Croissandwich breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious, thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 Croissandwich, $4, only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's back. The biggest conservative event in the Midwest returns this October. It's Freedom Summit Chicago 2016. October 29th in Itasca, featuring Alan West, Michelle Malkin, Mike Gallagher, Stephen Moore, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Joe Walsh, and many more. Tickets start at just $29. Order your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Precision Payroll of America, Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists, and by the Illinois Policy Institute.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Robert Weissite of Robert C. Weissite Company agree.
I appreciate the depth of experience my Cornerstone banker brings to the table. Last June, we located a building we wanted to buy for expansion. My Cornerstone banker walked me through everything I could expect to face in advance, from the letter of intent all the way through the day of closing. It went very smooth and predictably and with low stress. He had been through this type of transaction many times, and his years of experience helped me make my purchasing experience predictable, efficient, and successful.
Thanks, Bob. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
5:06. Let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim Talamonte this morning, here's David Morrison.
Good morning, Mike. Everything's still doing fine on pretty much most of the expressways and tollways. A couple major trouble spots, though. Inbound on the Bishop Ford, just past 159th Street, a rollover vehicle now blocking off all the lanes. This happened just about 4:45 this morning. Crews are en route to it right now. The outbound Ford is totally unaffected. Lakeshore Drive northbound, slowing down a little bit between Wacker and Grand Avenue. Road work there in the 2 right lanes. That's that usual weekly overnight road work. It's going to be picked up by about 6 a.m. Not seeing any delays on the Illinois tollways. We do have a trouble spot in northwest Indiana. 65 southbound completely closed down by State Road 10, all because of a vehicle fire. The rest of the roadway is doing just fine. This traffic report sponsored by Cabela's. Whether you're new on the range or a longtime sportsman, you'll find great deals like $400 off a Cabela's Signature 64 safe and more this week at Cabela's in Hammond and Hoffman Estates. Plus, join them this weekend for their free safety education seminars, because responsible ownership starts at Cabela's. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Hot and humid today with clouds and sun, high 92. Heat index values up to 98 to 103 for the afternoon. Then mostly cloudy with a late night shower or thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 76. Couple of thunderstorms tomorrow, high 87. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
74 at O'Hare, 78 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by MJ Miller & Company Jewelers. All that glitters is gold at MJ Miller Jewelers in downtown Barrington.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy.
So, do you have an announcement to make later today? Because you're all dressed up. You're looking very political, very presidential, I might add. What's going on, Dan?
I'm being arraigned this afternoon. So, I don't want to get the Judge Zagel treatment.
Oh, right.
I want to look good.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I like the tie. New tie?
No, not a new tie.
Huh?
I have a wake to go to after the show.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. You think
Thanks
that's
a lot.
funny?
Yeah.
You remember my friend Bob Sokup, who I
who
asked
you
you
were
to
talking
pray
about.
for?
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry. When did he transition? I don't call it passing away. I see you transition from here to heaven.
Yes, well, that's right.
And it sounds by all accounts that he's in heaven.
Yes, he's a very good man. He passed away late last week.
What
Yeah.
did he have?
Apparently,
Cancer?
you said you would pray, and you didn't pray enough. So thanks a lot.
I did pray. I even went to church on Sunday, and I have a list of people to pray for.
Do they allow you to pray in that church?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay.
Only if we repent for our whiteness and our privilege first.
Yeah,
That's what you have to do.
After you thank, Paul O'Neill. Thank Paul O'Neill for dying for your sins.
He was there with God and with Jesus being crucified. That's what was in the sermon.
Often spoke of in the same sentence.
Well, I'm sorry for, what's Bob's last name?
Bob Sokup.
Sokup.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, well, so thank you. He lived a rich and interesting life, 87 years old.
That's a long time. Good for him.
It is. That is about 45 years longer than I care to.
Stop it. Then you'd already be dead because you're 72.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So
yes. Cancer? What was it?
Yes, actually it was. Yes.
And who does he leave behind? Wife?
No, his wife passed before him.
Okay.
But
well, then he's with her in
lots
heaven.
of friends. And,
yeah. So have a celebration. Is this more of a mourning or a celebration?
So we had this monthly dinner at the Skyline Club downtown for refined gentlemen.
Yeah,
to discuss the matters of the day.
Drove by and waved at it once.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed in.
Right, exactly. Unless I put on a mustache.
Right. So, and he was part of that. And he was always a very colorful contributor. Korean War veteran. So we're going to do like a little, celebratory lunch and dinner in his honor.
Oh, so you're going to stay there for hours? Good for you guys.
Yeah, so it'll be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But onto the bizarreness of the presidential campaign. So animal protesters on one side and a man impersonating an insect on the other side yesterday.
Who's the man impersonating the insect?
Trying to climb up Trump Tower.
Oh, yeah, that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid from Virginia who he wanted to meet him, Dan.
You know what it reminded me of? Spider Dan. Remember Spider Dan? He used to climb buildings in Chicago and elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the suction cups. But my kids were fascinated by that. They thought that this was the coolest thing.
It is the coolest thing.
It's better than the Olympics. Mom, we've got to watch this. We have to turn off men's volleyball. So we watched it for a little bit, watched it unfold, and finally I think they got a little frustrated and they just pulled him inside.
Yeah, about the 21st floor, apparently they got frustrated because that's where they yanked him in.
Yeah, they had the window glass pane out. And
come on, you can make it. Keep coming.
Wait, what are you going to do? No, just come here. We just want to talk to you. But they had New York's finest out there trying to lure him in. And when that didn't work, they grabbed him. But they did a successful grab. And they're all holding on to each other while they pulled him inside. And then they took the cables off his little suction cups. But I was pulling for the little guy. I wanted him to get to the top.
Yeah, it's always nice to see somebody reach the summit. Sir Edmund Hillary of downtown Manhattan. So, do you remember, though, the New York police are used to dealing with this. Have you seen you know the story of Philippe Petit? Have you seen Man on Wire or The Wire?
Yeah.
There was a documentary made, I don't know, 15 years ago, and then there was a feature film that was made just in the last couple of years that was actually really good.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
It's called High Wire.
I think it was a Man on Wire. One of them was like the documentary Man on Wire. The other is like The Wire, or not The Wire, something like that though. But it's where he dropped a cable between the two towers of the World Trade Center, and then walked across and back across. It was this great thing. He was one of these daredevil types, like an honorary Walinda family member. So they're used to dealing with that sort of thing. And of course, with respect to Hillary, Secret Service is getting increasingly used to dealing with unhinged animal rights protesters that rushed the stage at her events. It happened again in Des Moines yesterday.
Was she okay?
She's fine. Although,
did they think it was a Donald Trump initiated attack?
It's funny. It's funny because so much of the left is in the tank with these, kind of wild-eyed, goofy animal rights protesters. The kind of people like Ingrid Newkirk, the head of PETA, that all the celebrities do the commercials for and raise tens of millions of dollars for, who refer to your chicken dinner as Holocaust on your plate. They did an ad campaign about that. They sued SeaWorld, claiming that the orca whales were tantamount to slaves. They made a 13th Amendment claim against SeaWorld. I mean, these people are out of their gourds, and then you've had two incidents at Hillary events where they've rushed the stage. Secret Service had to close ranks around Hillary and wrestle the protester out of the venue. And it's funny, nobody really questions the sanity of these animal rights organizations that generate so much in funding and so much in notoriety and are somehow on the side of the angels. They're not at all.
I know. And then think about what they did to Mayor Daley's house when they were upset about the cougar being killed. And I always go back to the cougar, but that is concrete evidence that I have of them trying to punish him for Chicago police shooting a cougar. So they light his house on fire, but it was the wrong house. It was his neighbor's house in New Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then when I used to wear fur hats on Channel 5, oh my Lord, I would get hate mail from PETA.
Did anybody ever throw red paint on you?
No, but it would come. I had two women in separate incidences come up to me and scream at me and yell at me and try and grab my hat and don't touch me.
And then
by the way, it's a polyester cotton blend. This isn't real fur, Tootsie. Don't touch me.
And then you put them down.
Yeah, I did one of these. Ha ha!
Yeah.
And I showed them. They never mess with me again.
Well, speaking of a bit of fisticuffs, rhetorical fisticuffs. Your girlfriend Don Lemon on CNN. He got in another bit.
We only went to get facials once together.
He got in a bit of a row yesterday.
Yes.
They were talking about, of course, the topic that the cable news networks and the Washington Press Corps was obsessed about yesterday was what? The father of the Orlando killer showing up at a Hillary rally and supporting Hillary Clinton?
And?
No. That was not it. It was, of course, Trump's comment about Second Amendment people doing something about it with respect to Hillary and Supreme Court nominees. And so...
real quickly, did you hear who showed up at a Trump rally? Was sitting right behind him? Mark Foley. And so that's the big news today, that Mark Foley was there. But Mark Foley was sitting behind Trump in one of his rallies yesterday in Fort Lauderdale. So they made a big deal. They circled him. He was pretty much, it's so weird. He was sitting in the same position that Mateen was sitting in behind Hillary, stage right, a few rows up. And so they made a big deal about that.
I think those are qualitatively different individual appearances. And, Mark Foley has the Denny Hastert endorsement, so he's all
right,
good.
There you go. It's okay. But, I mean, you ran for office. You can't control who comes into your events. I mean, you can control who sits behind you, though, right?
Right. I mean, you would, if you have advanced staff that knows what they're doing, you would be able to pick out, the father of the Orlando killer.
Okay.
Some people may not even remember Mark Foley. It's
Mark Foley,
15 years ago
Mark
now.
Foley doesn't look like Mark Foley from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Mark Foley looks old. I mean, older and a little disheveled.
Right. And the issue is not even necessarily controlling what people say or where they go. That's the issue. The issue is if the standard is anybody who says something nice about you that you otherwise don't agree with, or is that otherwise is a bête noire of civil society, you have to comment on. You have to disavow. So the issue really is if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. So if it's good for, and it's demanded of Donald Trump to disavow every person who says something nice about him, then Hillary Clinton has to comment on the Orlando killer showing up with a homemade sign supporting Hillary and saying, the Democrat Party welcomes me and so on and so forth. That's the point. It's the question of the standard that's applied to the various parties and the various candidates. But back to Don Lemon.
Yeah,
he picked up this topic. Yeah,
I call my sister friend.
Yeah.
I love my sister friend. No,
yeah.
Don Lemon is a nice man. I know you don't like him politically, and he leans different than I do as well. But as a person, I've spent a lot of time with him, and I love him.
Don't you have a fun Don Lemon story about him being a bit of a prima donna?
Oh, what do you mean?
When he wouldn't go on an assignment?
Yeah, that was years ago. But yeah, he wouldn't go out and cover a gang shooting in Park Ridge.
In Park Ridge?
In Park Ridge. And I had to let him know Hillary Clinton is from Park Ridge. Harrison Ford is from Park Ridge. We don't have a lot of gang shootings in Park Ridge. Now, there's a dicey part of Park Ridge, yes. As there is a dicey part of Mount Prospect. Yeah, there is. It's a few blocks, and that's where the shooting happened. And he didn't feel like doing so. He sat in his truck and read his book, and the assignment desk had to pull Phil Rogers off a different story and bring him there. And Phil Rogers is in the back editing and writing this package while Don is sitting up front just reading. And they didn't even exchange any words with Phil Rogers.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Because he was above. I don't know if he was above covering the story or he just didn't think that we should be covering such a stupid story as a gang shooting in Park Ridge.
Well, that entitlement mentality hasn't left him. And I know he's real pretty, so they put him on camera there on CNN. But he doesn't have a thought in that pretty little head of his.
Yes, he does. He's not a mimbo, Dad.
He is so cute, but he doesn't. He's not thinking. And we'll be back with Don Lemon's throwdown with former Secret Service agent over what Trump had to say about the Second Amendment people right after this.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I mean, if you're going to scale the Trump Tower, what do you want your name to be? His name apparently is Levin Thumps.
That's the name I want it to be.
Forecast for today, hot and humid. We're going to have some mostly sunny skies today, a high of 92 degrees. Tonight for your Bears-Broncos preseason game at Soldier Field. It's going to be nice. We'll have a shower or thunderstorm late this evening. And Friday, a couple of thunderstorms, but still hot and humid, a high near 90. Let's get those travel times. Here's Dave Morrison, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks very much, Amy. Good news for Bishop Ford inbound riders. All lanes have been reopened at 159th Street. We had an earlier rollover crash, but crews made quick work of it. It's already off of the roadway. 8094 to the Dan Ryan now takes 18 minutes. Rest of the Chicago expressways are fine. Lakeshore Drive northbound a little bit tight. Wacker to Grand Avenue. They still have some overnight road work. It's in the two right lanes. It's going to be there till 6 a.m. The Illinois toll system is doing fine. In northwest Indiana, though, still a trouble spot southbound 65 near State Road 10. All lanes are blocked off because of a semi that caught fire. They're in the process of reopening it now. Delays begin near the Kankakee Rest area. And northbound, just past State Road 14 up to State Road 10, you have some Gapers delays in that area. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
On AM 560, The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
Lately, it seems you're not feeling quite right. As if your body is working against you, Dr. Amy and Associates can help create a path to achieve optimal health. Experience personalized health care for your mind, body, and spirit at a practice that blends holistic and traditional medicine.
Dr. Amy has really helped me. After experiencing a divorce in my 50s, I wasn't sure how to handle the stress and changes I was about to encounter. I needed to find a new profession since my ex-husband and I had worked together at our own company, plus there were other challenges with our own grown kids, family, and friends. It was wonderful to have Dr. Amy's guidance through this difficult situation. She kept me on track and assured me I was thinking correctly. She made a very hard time easier, and I will forever be grateful. If you're going through some hard life struggles, I would highly recommend Dr. Amy and Associates.
Call Dr. Amy and Associates to experience a whole-person integrative approach to health and wellness. 630-980-1400 or visit DrAmyAndAssociates.com. Dr. Amy and Associates, empowering people, changing lives.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up next, it's me, Mike Gallagher, right after Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, nice try, David Stripling, but Crossfire is no longer on CNN. That's Stevie Ray Vaughan, Crossfire, caught in the crossfire.
When did they dump that show?
No, many moons ago.
I don't like the title.
Tightrope. You're right, Tightrope. Of course. But caught in the crossfire is a line in there, isn't it? No? Walking the tightrope. Why do I have caught in the crossfire in my head? Because I'm thinking of your girlfriend, Don Lemon. Walking the tightrope, caught in the crossfire. I don't even know the lyrics of Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm embarrassed. I'm leaving.
Girlfriend. It's okay. I would have never known.
I just pulled a Don Lemon. That was to misidentify a Stevie Ray song is like suggesting that MH370 disappeared into a black hole.
He was just answering a question that was tweeted into the station. That was tweeted to him. Somebody tweeted a listener or a viewer and said, "Could it have disappeared in a black hole?" Yeah, and he read that question out loud.
And then he said it to a former FAA administrator and scientist, and who politely said to him after patting him on the head, rubbing his tummy, said, "I don't think that happened, because if that would have happened, the Earth would have collapsed in upon itself." Don? So that was kind
of... 6 days straight
of
covering that disappearance. And by the way, it's
grueling
still missing.
job. Yeah, grueling job. Well, so he does this panel on what Trump had to say about the Second Amendment people and all of the overheated left rhetoric about this being some kind of assassination
Well, it's a call to arms that someone, they believe that one of Trump's followers who's not stable might go and act out and kill Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Or, excuse me, assassinate her.
Right. Yes. Like I said, the overheated left rhetoric about this comment that even Susan Collins, a never Trump Republican senator, found innocuous. So this panel that Lemon assembled included Dan Bongino. Where's it Bongino? Dan Bongino? Bongino. We had him on the show before when he ran for Congress in Maryland. He's a former Secret Service agent.
Oh, really?
And he was there with David Gergen and Jeffrey Toobin. And, they're going back and forth. And Don Lemon clearly had drawn his conclusion and was trying to prosecute his case before he even enlisted Bongino to comment. Here's how it started.
There is no doubt, as you've been saying over and over, Don, what Trump was saying here, and it clearly related to violence against Hillary.
Dan, you're disagreeing with Jeffrey?
I mean, Don, I'm trying not to break down in laughter. This conversation's almost broken into the comical realm. It's clear what he was suggesting. I mean, he clearly, from what I had to read through his exact comments in the Washington Post today twice when I was asked to be on the show to try to find out what exactly the controversy was even about.
Okay, let's play it again.
For
Stand
12
by,
years of
Dan.
my-
Let's play it just in case you're confused.
That little shot at the end really set up this when Dan Bongino and Don Lemon, your girlfriend, really got into it.
Dan, what you're saying right now makes no sense. I'm sitting at home. I'm watching Donald Trump. I have two ears. I have two ears and I have two eyes, and I can see the reaction of the people behind me. And I'm not. We're not stupid. Every single person you have on this panel, who are very smart people, David Gergen, who's respected. Hang on, will you let me finish, Dan? David Gergen, who's respected by people on both sides, by Republicans and by Democrats, who've worked for Republicans and Democrats, who has worked for a president who's had an assassination attempt, who's lived through presidents who've been assassinated, knew exactly what Donald Trump is saying, and we're supposed to be stupid enough not to understand that and to believe the spin coming from the surrogates and for people like you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
It doesn't make it. Don, frankly, I'm ashamed that you're talking to me as if I'm a child when 12 years of my life.
No, you're treating me as a child because you're telling me what I'm supposed to hear. And you're sitting here on television lying to the American people.
You don't know crap about this, Don. You're a TV guy. I was a Secret Service agent.
Boom.
Now cut off my mic. Do what you want.
I'm not going to cut off your mic. I'm going to tell you that you're sitting here and you're lying to the American people. You're lying to the American people, and you know that you're lying to the American people.
He didn't have to cut off the mic because Dan Bongino dropped the mic drop line.
Boom.
You're
Maybe
a TV guy. I'm a Secret Service agent, you little ninny.
Maybe I can take him to Tyka Bowls after the show.
Yeah,
to the
Mount
place in Mount
Prospect.
Prospect, and we can get some adult diapers.
Yeah.
Play in the ball pit.
That's a good place for little TV guys like Don.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Townstone Financial is synonymous with great rates, low closing costs, and phenomenal service to the thousands who have completed purchases and refinances with us since 2002. Hi, my name is Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My name is Brian Cole. I'm a realtor locally here in Chicago with Catline Properties. I have worked with Barry Sterner for a number of years with Townstone Financial, and most recently on a deal that I did where my buyers were actually sellers. Townstone Financial, specifically Zach Schwartz and Barry Sterner, made it a point to have them pre-qualified for a mortgage. They ended up closing on the same day, and Townstone Financial made the whole process completely seamless.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639, equal housing lender.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, it turns out Hillary Clinton used the A word. We'll explain.
And I wonder if Scott Adams still thinks Trump is a master communicator. Trump offers his conjecture on who founded ISIS at 5:38.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 76 degrees, and Canada's national police say they stopped a suicide bombing from happening by killing the man accused of planning it. Senior police official says Aaron Driver, in his mid-20s, was killed in a police operation. Driver had been under a court order not to associate with a terror organization. Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton lays out her economic proposals today when she talks to the Detroit Economic Club. On the campaign trail, Clinton slammed Donald Trump for his recent Second Amendment comments.
And now his casual inciting of violence. Every single one of these incidents shows us that Donald Trump simply does not have the temperament to be president.
Trump then called on Hillary Clinton as more of her emails are analyzed.
It's called you look at the power they have in terms of votes.
New
and
emails
that's what
come
I was
out.
referring
New
to.
emails.
Obviously, that's what I was
How do you
referring
think
to.
Hillary would feel
Everybody knows
if
it.
emails were never invented? Would she be happy?
The man who climbed the side of the Trump Tower remains in custody this morning. The 20-year-old, reportedly a Trump supporter, used suction cups to scale the side of his building.
We all remember Bobby Kennedy.
Up to 25 have been hurt in a large apartment fire outside Washington, D.C., and fire officials say not everyone in Silver Springs, Maryland this morning is accounted for. One person
Words
remains
matter,
in
my
custody
friends.
following a home invasion and stabbing incident early yesterday in Buffalo Grove.
And if
County
you
grand
are
jury
running
indicts a
to be
high-profile
president
Chicago
or you are
activist
president of the
on charges
United
of assaulting
States,
police officers
words can have
during a recent
tremendous
Michigan Avenue
consequences.
protest. 3 are in custody this
Yesterday,
morning,
we
charged
witnessed
in the
the
shooting
latest
of
in
a
a long
Carbondale
line
police officer, Trey
of
Harris.
casual comments
The 3
from Donald
were
Trump
found
that
in
crossed the
Salem
line.
County, Kansas, charged with conspiracy
Yesterday,
to
we
commit
witnessed
capital
the latest
murder.
in a long line
And this morning,
of
Monique Mayor
casual
Jay Farquhar
comments
is
from
free on
Donald
bond,
Trump that
turning
crossed
himself
the
into
line.
New Lenox police.
Friends,
who accuse
don't
him
let
of
friends
slugging a
vote
youth
for Trump.
baseball umpire in June. Kansas City beat the White Sox in 14 innings, 3-2. Cubs winners over the LA Angels, 3-1, backing Jason Hamill to the win. Katie
Friends, don't let
Ledecky
friends
won her
vote for
third
Trump.
gold at the Rio Olympics in the pool. Gutsy performance by Kristen Armstrong provided the oldest American
It's like
at
both
the
in
Olympics
this year
with her
now.
third
It's like
consecutive
everybody's
gold
here.
medal in an Olympic cycling time trial. The news
We've
is the
been
service of
talking to
iCash. The
him
Illinois
and
Treasurer is safeguarding
writing
recovered
letters
cash
and calling
for state
and
residents,
receiving
and their
flowers
iCash
and sending
program
gifts for the
makes it
past
easy
10
to claim
years,
what's
and
yours.
now
1 in 4
it's finally,
Illinois
like,
adults
here.
discover
Just hugging
property
him
to claim
made
when
me
they
feel
search
like I
at
was close to my dad again,
IllinoisTreasurer.gov. So
which on this
search
day was
today.
just perfect.
Visit
It was what I needed.
IllinoisTreasurer.gov.
Then he wrote me a letter.
5:34.
And she said,
Check of
"Dear
traffic
Tom,
and weather on the
I'm
way
the
next
daughter
on
of the man
AM
whose heart's
560.
inside you, and I'm going to get married on August 6th.
My America in about
One further
9
thing, if you're
and a
willing,
half
would you walk me down the aisle?"
The Joe Walsh Show.
It's just like having my dad
life,
here.
it's
We've
my
been-
money, it's my
and
family,
just,
it's
and
my
better
business.
because we get to
I'll
share
be
this story with other
responsible for
people,
everything.
and
Government
you know
get the
other people
hell
see
out
that
of my
organ
life.
donors do matter.
9.5 freaking seconds.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
It might have been 8.5 seconds.
You'll find great deals on brands like $40 off of Cabela's Signature 64 Safe and more this week at Cabela's.
But I
Plus,
do have
join
a
them this weekend
relationship
for their
with
free
him,
safety
and
education
I think
seminars because responsible
it's
ownership
very
starts
interesting
at
to see
Cabela's.
what's happening.
Hi, I'm
I have no
Amanda.
relationship with Putin. I
and
don't
it was
think I've ever
causing
met him. I
pain.
never met
Dr.
him.
Neruzzi took care of my tooth, and I got my implant, and then I had another after that fail, and he did that one as well. And the experience was, they were amazing. It was
Bimbo,
not painful
dog,
at all, like I
fat
thought it was going to
pig,
be. And I was very, very, very nervous
And
about
we
the whole
unleashed
thing. Nobody
fury
enjoys getting,
all over the
implants
Middle
or
East.
dental work. And I
And
procrastinated.
it was
but
a
I had to
terrible
have it done.
mistake.
And he took me in immediately and took care of it. And he made it really affordable. They're very accommodating to people that cannot afford to have it done. I would recommend Dr. Neruzzi to anybody, and I have given him referrals. My own sister had hers done by him.
This is Dr.
$400
Neruzzi.
million
I
being
personally
flown
guarantee
to
your
Iraq.
happiness with your implants. Go to
Hillary wants to abolish,
For missing
essentially
teeth,
abolish
dental implants
the
are
Second
wonderful.
Amendment. If she
Privileges
gets
are
to pick
fantastic. Just remember,
400
implantsforme.com. Implantsforme.com.
There's no time for this.
5:36 in our Guardian Security Services
recall
Traffic Center. In for Jim,
walking
here's David.
into
Thanks very
an
much,
office
Mike. Everything's
building
still fine on both sides. The Edens
just
and the
last
Kennedy.
year,
The Eisenhower doing
after
just
being
fine.
here for 5
Stevenson's
years on the
clear,
Capitol.
24 each way between the Tri-State and Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound, building up volume now from Cermak to the Burn Circle interchange. 95th in is 19 minutes. Skyway, I-57, both fine. The inbound Ford earlier crash at 159th
This
is
is
completely
Chris
gone.
Mosier.
The only
Morning,
delay is
Chris.
actually from
Morning.
103rd to
Chris
Dan Ryan,
is the
first transgender athlete to make the men's
Lakeshore
national
Drive
team.
northbound overnight road work
Hey, Chris,
still in the two right
how'd you know
lanes
you'd be
between
fast
Wacker and
enough to
Grand
compete
Avenue.
against men?
They should be picking that up within the next 30
Strong
minutes.
enough.
Not seeing any delays in the 4
Yeah, but
Illinois
how'd you know the
tollways.
team would accept you?
I-80
I
westbound
didn't.
at 355.
Or that you'd even be
New
allowed
rollover
to
crash
compete.
has just
I
been
didn't.
reported. IDOT is
That must
about to
have
that
been
right now.
tough.
And
you
in
ever just
Northwest
want to give
Indiana,
up?
65 southbound remains closed at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi-fire. Northbound seeing gaping to that. This report is sponsored by Burger King Breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 croissant-wich breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 croissant-wich sandwiches for $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Hot and humid today. Clouds and sunshine will mix. High 92, currently 74. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, the number 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. Well, lest Hillary grab a headline, unless we focus the campaign on Hillary and generate as much attention around things like the Department of Justice declining to pursue an investigation into the Clinton Foundation. And all of Hillary's other lies and obfuscations and policy failures and pay-to-play politics. Lest we focus on that, Trump is continuing to speak at rallies. And I don't think, despite what Dilbert creator Scott Adams has suggested, that the master communicator he believes Trump is, with his Pavlovian kind of dinner bell lines that he delivers consecutively without kind of connecting dots, I don't think it's working.
It's called speaking in non sequiturs, maybe?
Well, sort of. Yeah, sort of. It's just this dinner bell rhetoric. It's like I say something and you go, roo, 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 roo. But it's not explaining anything. It's not connecting dots. So it's not really making arguments. It's making pronouncements. And I just think that it has limited appeal. And some of Trump's, where Trump finds himself in the polls in most places suggests that there's some truth to that suggestion. And Trump yesterday in Florida on the founding of ISIS.
And we unleashed fury all over the Middle East. And it was a terrible mistake. And then Obama came in, and normally you want to clean up. He made a bigger mess out of it. He made such a mess. And then you had Hillary with Libya. So sad. In fact, in many respects, you know, they honor President Obama. ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, okay? He's the founder.
Oh, my goodness.
He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton. Co-founder, crooked Hillary Clinton.
Who's buying that? Who even believes that?
Yeah, I mean,
he says things just to get a rise out of the audience.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that the dinner bell
so
rhetoric.
Irresponsible.
There's a couple of things. One is Trump's vocabulary is clearly limited. And this is why.
Because he doesn't read books. He's read 4 books in his lifetime, and he said he doesn't have time to read.
Yeah.
Maybe he should start reading. Maybe some history books, too.
So this is why his language is so coarse, I think, and imprecise and oftentimes imprudent, because his vocabulary is limited. And that doesn't mean he's not smart in many respects, street smart and as it pertains to real estate development and so forth, fine. But in terms of being a communicator, I think he's got a limited set of tools with which to work, number one. And number two, I mean, I'm happy to hear from Trump supporters on this, but you can't just say, yeah, you're attacking Trump. And you have to answer the question, do you think that is an effective way for him to communicate for the purposes of winning a national election, which is, by the way, what we're doing here and what he's doing here? Is that effective? Is that persuasive to you, these one-off taglines that he rinses and repeats until the audience gives the proper vociferous response, such that he can move on to the next tagline? Well, is that effective?
And 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Text us at 64636, type in DA, then a comment. And here's another one. I'm not trying to up you, but the other day when he was talking about, what if I said that I was unstable? What would happen to me?
Could you imagine if I said that I short-circuited? They would be calling for my execution. Electric chair. They'd bring back the electric chair. It's one thing to make bad decisions. It's another thing to be wacky and make bad decisions.
Well,
trying to be funny. What's going on?
No,
there?
that doesn't bother me. I mean, that's when he points out the different standards that are applied to him versus Hillary. There's no question he has a point, but that's a point Republican candidates have been making since the advent of the 10 o'clock news. I mean, this has been going on for the better part of a half century, longer than that, actually. So, yes, is there a different standard but that the press applies to Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton? Of course there is. And so he's on solid footing when he jokes about it. And so he doesn't let it bother him, but he points out the hypocrisy. And there's much hypocrisy to point out. But I go back again in terms of making the case against Hillary and putting the focus on her, because his real goal, in my opinion, should be to make Hillary the referendum question on November 8th. And instead what he does, even when he's trying to focus on Hillary, when he is off script, at least this has been the case in the last several weeks, is to make this the election a referendum question on him. And I think if it is a referendum question on him, with the current trajectory of the race, he's going to lose. I'm not saying he is going to lose. I'm saying this is the
This is do or die time now?
It's the equation he has to solve. I don't think there's necessarily a shelf life or a short horizon on this. Again, we've still got 6 weeks until the first debate.
He needs to nail that debate or else.
6 weeks is an eternity. And yes, he does need to perform well in the debates. But there also has to be a sense that he is trying to solve this equation that I've put forward. Or if he thinks, if everybody thinks I'm wrong, then some equation that drives to a singular question that you want to implant in the minds of voters when they go to the polls on November 8th and says, if I answer this question yes, it's for Trump. If I answer it no, it's for Hillary. I mean, essentially. He's got to crystallize it into a single overriding question. And right now, the single overriding question is a referendum on him. Do you think he's qualified, fit for the office? He's going to lose that question if it's the question in the minds of the majority of Americans when they go to the polls in November. Greg in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I think you're right, Dan, except if he does one thing, and that is if he goes and he just starts listing the attributes and then presents his credentials as someone who is the ability to put a team together that is going to make the best decision in line with the Trump principles that he's put forward, that being America first, that being where we can't be the policeman of the world, et cetera, et cetera. Then it will come across more coherently. But I think you're trying to apply a filter that he's incapable of doing, and it's not natural. And as that drumbeat continues, it's going to continue to hurt him.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Greg. I don't disagree with that. I mean, think about some of where Trump has been, raised his level of gravitas. It's been when he announced some of his foreign policy team, like Waleed Farris, who's highly respected. When he announced the list of Supreme Court nominees that he would potentially consider. I mean, there needs
but
to be.
the words he says aren't going away. I mean, the words
Well, I
he says
understand.
about certain people, about John McCain, about the judge, about Hillary Clinton, that's never going to go away.
Well, and part of that is the personality stuff, and the personality interplay is part of what goes back and says you're making an assessment on Donald Trump rather than an assessment on the incumbent when you vote, and the incumbent is Hillary Clinton. And in a change election, why would you want this to be a referendum question on you, the challenger? Why wouldn't you want it to be a referendum question on the effective incumbent when 70% of Americans think the country's on the wrong track?
I mean, Donald Trump had to be interviewed or speak with the Secret Service yesterday. How crazy is this election? And no matter what you think about it, he was joking or he was serious, he still was investigated.
He's not being investigated.
No, but the Secret Service spoke to him about it.
Jordan in Forest Park.
Hey, Dan and Amy, I've never heard Trump say that much about these massive premium increases that are going to be part of the Affordable Care Act starting in January. I read there was an article the other day about incomes have been flat for the last few years, but what no one has talked about is expenses have gone up pretty dramatically, and the premiums are going to be much, much higher. There's no talk about that at all. And the only thing the Democrats will come back with is, well, there's the subsidies, but that's only for a small percentage of people that have been affected by this. So he's not talking about some of the main things that I think a voter is interested in.
Yeah, I thanks for the call, Jordan. I agree with that. I think an Obamacare is a prime example of ruling class Pauls with their big government gambits failing and negatively impacting the majority of Americans. It's a great example, and why. And part of that could have been included even in what he had to say in Detroit on Tuesday. Dave and Racine.
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and salutations to you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, Dave from Racine here. Just the thing is, I object to was the interpretation of Trump's remark that Second Amendment supporters would engage in violent behavior just because we support gun rights. Does that mean people who engage in various leftist activities, do they support would engage in violent or nefarious behavior like Black Lives Matter, NARAL, the LPGA community?
Thanks for the call, Dave. I think you mean the LGBT community, not the LPGA, which is the Ladies Professional Golf Association. But although I don't...
WNBA? No, I'm kidding.
There's a little...
No, stop it.
Okay.
It's all good.
Roosevelt in Midway.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Just a simple, quick question. How can you tell when he's joking and when he's serious?
That's the thing.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Roosevelt.
And it depends on crowd reaction, because sometimes his jokes fall flat, and I kind of feel embarrassed for him, and then other times he kills it. I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
Kills it. That's that kind of bellicose language we don't want to. We don't tolerate around here.
He hits it out of the park.
I feel unsafe. Scott on the West Side.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. When it comes to Hillary and Trump, I'm reminded that actions speak louder than words. Trump's falls down when he speaks. Hillary's actions are what we need to start looking at. She's got a long history, and most of her actions have resulted in negative results. If we start turning around the election and looking at Hillary rather than looking at Trump misspeaking, we might get somewhere. I don't think Trump's going to do well in the debate. He didn't do well in the first debate as far as I was concerned, but he still won the primary.
Thanks for the call, Scott. Well, so a couple things. One is I agree, and Trump should help us focus on Hillary's actions rather than his rhetoric. And interestingly, that's exactly what Dr. Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, has said about Hillary, that she's more disturbed by Hillary's actions than Trump's rhetoric. Maybe Dr. Jill Stein turns out to be a hero for Trump.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Heat and humidity continues. A high of 92 degrees. And then for tonight, for your Bears-Broncos preseason game at Soldier Field, it's going to be warm and humid. Shower and thunderstorm much later in the evening. And Friday, a couple of thunderstorms around, mainly later when they can be strong, a high of 87 degrees. I hear David Morrison getting warmed up, ready to go. Here he is.
Everybody's still looking good on both sides of the Edens and the Kennedy. The Eisenhower outbound doing just fine. Inbound 30 minutes from Thorndale, 17 from Manheim. Stevenson inbound 36 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound 25 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Bishop Ford inbound a little bit tight, 111th to the Dan Ryan. 8094 to the Ryan is 20 minutes. Lakeshore Drive northbound, they still have road work in the two right lanes until 6 a.m. It's there between Wacker and Grand Avenue for the time being. I-80 westbound, still a rollover vehicle blocking off the left lane at 355. We're not hearing any word of a backup just yet. I-80 still tends to be pretty light at this time of the morning. 65 southbound in northwest Indiana, still backed up approaching State Road 10. All lanes remain closed because of an earlier semi-fire, as well as a hazardous material spill that they're still cleaning up. Northbound seeing some gaping to that. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Is overseas uncertainty making a dent in your portfolio? Is your bank telling you that everything's going to be okay? You don't need to feel like your finances are spiraling out of control. It's time to take a different approach with Online Trading Academy. They'll teach you how to navigate the stock market during these changing times and prepare you for future market fluctuations. Online Trading Academy's certified instructors teach you a rules-based strategy where you'll trade on knowledge, not speculation. So you'll be able to identify market changes before they happen. Reserve your seat today. Reserve your seat today for a free half-day training course at their state-of-the-art education facility in Lombard. Call now, 877-682-2442. Mention AM 560 and you'll receive a free home video study course valued at $247. That number again, 877-682-2442. Call now.
Hey, this is Joe Walsh. That's me sleeping on a MyPillow. You know what? There's a great reason why nearly every AM 560 host endorses this darn pillow. Because it's the best. Even the National Sleep Foundation agrees that Made in America MyPillow is in a class by itself. Because they made it their official pillow, man. Hey, if you still haven't bought one, you should. You will sleep better and it's good for your health. It's washable to remove dead skin, dirt, skin oils, and dust mites that can cause allergies, acne, and asthma. You really deserve a washable MyPillow. It comes with a 10-year warranty and it's an excellent health investment. Visit MyPillow.com or call 1-800-489-0201. Be sure to use that promo code Joe so I get credit and you'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of one. Give one as a gift, keep the other for yourself, or just use both. But do it now, 1-800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com, promo code Joe.
So we decided to upgrade the look of our home.
You know, improve the curb appeal. We really like the stacked stone look.
Yeah, but when I checked into the price, it was ridiculous. No way could we afford it.
Then a friend told me about Genstone.
Genstone comes in lightweight panels. They've actually engineered the hassle out of installation. It was easy. Even I could do it.
We just screwed the panels to the wall and it looks like stone.
Yeah, from the box to the wall in minutes.
Call Genstone at 800-955-STONE. That's 800-955-7866.
Illinois deserves an honest analysis of the problems facing our state. Avoid the spin from the mainstream media and Springfield insiders by tuning in to Illinois Rising every Sunday at 3 p.m. AM 560's Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute tackle the policy and political issues that matter most and discuss possible solutions. So if you're sick of the status quo, then be sure to listen to Illinois Rising this Sunday at 3 p.m. on AM 560. The Answer.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Rick Williams of Pump Supply agree.
Hi, my name is Rick Williams, owner of Pump Supply Incorporated. As a business owner, I recognize the importance of relationships. I need a bank that understands my business and is able to respond quickly and creatively to the needs of my company. Cornerstone has been a valuable business partner and has helped me grow my company and seize opportunities as I come across them. Whether it's providing a line of credit or financing the acquisition of equipment or real estate, Cornerstone has been there for me every step of the way.
Thanks, Rick. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
You always listen to AM 560, The Answer. You've heard all about Turnkey IT, Chicagoland's leading IT service provider for small business. Turnkey provides world-class support and customizable plans for businesses with 5 to 100 users. And with some of Turnkey IT's programs, you get all new equipment, free security, and antivirus protection. Sound great? Then why haven't you called Turnkey IT? There's really no excuse. Turnkey IT is setting you up with their best offer yet. Through the summer, all AM 560 listeners receive their first month of service for just $1. Your business will receive comprehensive coverage, including unlimited help desk and online support, network hosting, and antivirus protection its first contracted month for just $1. Ready to make the switch? It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro now. That's turnkey.pro. And tell them AM 560 The Answer sent you. Get ready to focus on the important things of your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros. Visit turnkey.pro today.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And like after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
Lately, it seems you're not feeling quite right, as if your body is working against you. Dr. Amy and Associates can help create a path to achieve optimal health. Experience personalized health care for your mind, body, and spirit at a practice that blends holistic and traditional medicine.
I was involved in a devastating head-on motorcycle accident, which left me broken, battered, and afraid. I turned to Dr. Amy and Associates to care for my broken body. With their help, I healed quickly. I was able to sleep, and the nightmare stopped. I was able to get back on the motorcycle without fear. Since they worked with my insurance, I've used them for allergy and food sensitivity testing, weight loss, massage, acupuncture, and life coaching. They use both Eastern and Western medicine and is a holistic practice like no other. I am so grateful for Dr. Amy and Associates.
Call Dr. Amy and Associates to experience a whole person integrative approach to health and wellness. 630-980-1400 or visit dramyandassociates.com. Dr. Amy and Associates, empowering people, changing lives.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
State Department knows speak of the English when it comes to the Clinton Foundation at 6:06.
And later, the 2016 Olympic athletes are setting records, but not the kind you might think. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, one in custody following a Buffalo Grove stabbing. The Bears kick off the NFL preseason tonight on a hot and humid day. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Who's to blame for the radical Islamic terror threat we're battling in Iraq and Syria and beyond? Well, Donald Trump says President Obama.
He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS.
And he adds Hillary Clinton as co-founder. This as she gets ready to detail her economic plans days after the Republican did. Fox's Rachel Sutherland is live in Washington.
Dave, Clinton is expected to appeal to cash-strapped middle-class voters during her economic address in the Detroit area today. The Democratic presidential nominee has promised to make the biggest investments in jobs since World War II.
I will work hard for the next 3 months to earn the support of anyone willing to put our country first.
Clinton has also vowed to invest in the nation's infrastructure and help people start and grow businesses. Trump unveiled his economic plan earlier this week, promising a simplified tax code and child care deductions, not credits. Dave.
Rachel, a Canadian wannabe terrorist is dead. Killed in a confrontation with police. Aaron Driver was a known ISIS supporter and believed to be plotting a suicide bombing in a public place. A Mississippi woman who wanted to join ISIS during her honeymoon in Istanbul will be sentenced today. Jail in Young could get up to 20 years. Her fiancé faces sentencing later this month. A sheriff's deputy shot in Arkansas has died. Bill Cooper, Hackett's police chief,
She's one of
suffered
the
only minor
wealthiest
injuries,
women
both
in
shot by a man
politics.
now in custody.
Combined income,
The sheriff
$30
says
million.
suspect Billy Monroe
Tours
Jones
the world
had
on
gone to
private
his
jets,
father's house to
protected
take
by
some
armed
food
guards for
Wednesday
30
morning
years.
and pointed a
But
gun at
she
his
doesn't
father, who
believe
then
in your
called
right to keep a
911.
gun at
Cooper
home
and
for
Sells were two of
self-defense.
several officers who responded. After the shooting, Jones barricaded himself in a room for about 4.5 hours
An
before
out-of-touch
being
hypocrite.
arrested.
She'd
Lisa
leave
Lacera,
you
Fox
defenseless.
News.
A fiery
The
midnight
NRA
wake-up
Political
call at a
Victory
Silver
Fund is
Spring, Maryland
responsible for
apartment
content of this
complex.
episode.
We were asleep, and then my dad heard this big loud noise.
There was an explosion. The fire and explosion left at least 30 people injured. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Partly cloudy skies this morning. Winds are south at 3. We have 74 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One person remains in custody following a home invasion and stabbing incident in Buffalo Grove. Witnesses telling police 2 masked men broke into the home early yesterday in the 400 block of St. Mary's Parkway. Chicago police say they have no suspects in custody in the fatal shooting of a father of 3 as he sat at his kitchen table paying the bills. A bullet fired during a fight on the street struck 32-year-old DeMarco Kennedy in the neck late Tuesday. He died at a nearby hospital hours later. Mayor Emanuel sending a message to Chicago teachers. Rather than threatening to strike, he says the union should help solve the system's budget trouble. AM 560's David Stewart explains.
Mayor Emanuel says that since taxpayers are paying higher taxes to bolster the teachers' pension fund and state lawmakers have promised added money, it's time for the teachers to step up.
The central bureaucracy, in the sense of its fat, has stepped up to be part of the solution. And I think the teachers should be part of the solution in not only stabilizing their finances, but strengthening our classroom.
Specifically, Emanuel wants teachers to assume their full responsibility for pension contributions and phase out the city's coverage of the teachers' share. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart says his deputies made 230 arrests during a month-long sting operation aimed at prostitution customers. Dart began the National John Suppression Initiative in 2011. Now includes 18 states and the nation's 10 largest cities. Lorenzo Cain's 2-out single in the 14th helped Kansas City beat the White Sox 3-2. While the Cubs beat the LA Angels 3-1, backing Jason Hammel to his 5th straight start and win. Bears have signed offensive lineman Mike Adams, waived Nick Becton ahead of tonight's preseason opener with Denver. The news, a service of Cabela's. Whether you're new on the range or a longtime sportsman, you'll find great deals like $400 off a Cabela's Signatures 64 Safe and more this week at Cabela's in Hammond and Hoffman Estates. Plus, join them this weekend for their free safety education seminars because professional, responsible ownership starts at Cabela's. 6:04, time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager has an interesting look at the presidential candidates.
Over time, he has somewhat metamorphosed in my mind. I'm at the tentative place right now wherein I regard him as a sheep in wolf's clothing, and I regard her as a wolf in wolf's clothing.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-467-5125. That's 1-800-467-5125. 1-800-467-5125. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
6:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
Edens and the Kennedy Mike don't both doing just fine. The inbound Eisenhower about 30 minutes from Thorndale into downtown. It's 17 from Manheim to the post office. Outbound's good. The inbound Stevenson 37 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Tight traffic now from Central to Kedzie and approaching Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to downtown at 26 minutes. I-57 inbound starts slowing down at Halstead. The inbound Ford is heavy starting at 111th, both stopping at the Dan Ryan. Not seeing any delays on any of the tollways. I-80 westbound now jammed between Parker and 355 because of a rollover in the left lane. Eastbound is good. And in northwest Indiana, 65 southbound remains closed at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi that caught fire. This report is sponsored by Amtrak. Great memories are made on trains, not in traffic. Experience travel the way it should be. Go from Chicago to Dallas for $102 with Amtrak Saver Fares. Book now at amtrak.com/saverfares. See where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, hot and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 92. Tonight, mostly cloudy, warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm in spots late at night. A low tonight of 76. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
75 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Military Mortgage Talk with host Tony Gatliff. Sunday mornings at 9 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. You know, we're tough on the media here, particularly me, because I'm not a fan of the Washington, D.C. press corps. I
don't think you're fans of any press corps. I mean, are there any reporters in Chicago that you...
Sure, there are good reporters in Chicago. There are good reporters in D.C. But as a group, here's what we know. 84 to 92% of the Washington, D.C. press corps since 1960, tracked by Gallup, has voted for the Democrat nominee for president. And my point is the disingenuousness of the Fourth Estate. It's a simple question. If over the course of 55 years, 84 to 92% of the Washington, D.C. press corps had been voting for the Republican candidate for president, do you think the stories would be different? Yeah, they would. Do you think that the tenor of our national discussion would be different? Sure, it would. And I'm not suggesting that that has to be the case. I'm just suggesting that we recognize the reality on the ground, and those that are the least self-aware are on cable news and network anchor desks and in the field and writing for these opinion journals masquerading as objective compendiums of current events. It's ridiculous. So, don't sell me a line of bull jive as my kind of retort to the Washington, D.C. press corps and the Chicago press corps writ large. That doesn't mean there are not individual people within those institutions that are very good. And I'll give you an example on the D.C. level. It happened yesterday. One of the kind of the narrow slice of the D.C. press corps that's actually been pretty good is over at the State Department. AP reporters like Matt Lee. And it happened again yesterday. So against the backdrop of the report that Department of Justice decided against an investigation into the Clinton Foundation, even after the FBI requested the agency open a case into allegations of corruption stemming from Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State, leveraging her public position for private gain. Justice Department's Public Integrity Unit declined to pursue the probe, saying there was insufficient evidence. I mean, maybe they should have given Peter Schweitzer, the author of Clinton Cash, a call. He's got all kinds of evidence.
He could have dropped off boxes of evidence and paperwork.
It's a Department of Justice.
Are they just lazy, or are they just...
No, well, they're too busy doing important work, like telling local police departments how to operate.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So that's the Department of Justice. They don't even recognize the existence of the Clinton Foundation. The State Department spokesbeings that are trotted out to address this issue
Was it Kirby yesterday or somebody else?
No, this was.
Because they rotate them.
This was the unfortunate spokeswoman Elizabeth Trudeau, who was asked questions. It started with Abigail Williams from NBC, and then it moved over to Matt Lee. Listen to this. Listen to legitimate questions and good questions from, the D.C. press corps types to a State Department spokesman trying to get to this answer about the Clinton Foundation and the interaction of Foundation with State Department when she was there. It's very much like them trying to get an answer as to when the plane with the cash arrived to make the ransom payment to Iran to get the hostages out. They
what
won't.
Was it? They were.
It's an active question. Yeah. Yes. And you will never get an active answer. But listen to this. Elizabeth Trudeau dealing with a couple of reporters asking questions. Just listen to these responses.
You don't feel like there was impropriety in the relationship between the Clinton Foundation and the State Department?
We talked to a wide range of people at my level, at various levels in the department. NGOs, think tanks, business leaders, experts on a variety of subjects.
Except in this,
her question,
and importantly, in this case, Secretary Clinton made a pledge that she would not personally or substantially in any way involve herself with the Clinton Foundation. So it's not just any outside organization, it's a specific organization that she said ahead of time she wouldn't have contact with. So doesn't this then seem to violate that pledge?
So again, to reiterate, department officials are in touch with a wide range of individuals. I'd note that former Secretary Clinton's ethics agreement did not preclude other State Department officials from having contact with Clinton Foundation staff.
Convenient.
Can you at least try to answer Abigail's question, which was, has the department looked into this and determined that there was no impropriety?
The department is regularly in touch with people across the whole spectrum.
That's not the question. The question is whether or not you've looked into this. The building has looked into it and determined that everything was okay, that there was nothing wrong.
We feel confident in our ability and our past practice of reaching out to a variety of sources and being responsive to requests.
I'm sorry. Am I not speaking English? Is this? Is it coming across as a form? I'm not asking you if. No one is saying it's not okay or it's bad for the department to get a broad variety of input from different people. The question is whether or not you've determined that there was nothing improper here.
We feel confident that all the rules were followed.
Yeah, right. Just like they feel confident all the rules were followed with the email server. I mean, 3 different reporters until Matt Lee finally said,
Are we speaking English
here?
It
was a failure to communicate. And then she said, we feel, the typical. But I mean, this is how difficult it is to extract any kind of adult answer from the most transparent administration in the history of the Western world.
But this latest dump of emails, the investigation shows that Hillary played favorites with a huge number of Clinton Foundation donors.
That's right.
I mean, the list goes on from that shady Lebanese Nigerian businessman who got the State Department to arrange that meeting. And then the guy from Vancouver, Frank, remember him? He pledged $100 million to the foundation and then reaped a fortune from their relationship with logging contracts. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but
and the thing about
why won't they investigate it?
Well, right, and the thing about this is what we're finding with these emails, thanks to Judicial Watch, which is the shadow Department of Justice, and we're going to have the founder of Judicial Watch on at 8:35. I mean, they've been central to all of these email disclosures, including these work emails that were deleted that the FBI uncovered that should have been turned over at the outset by the Clinton team and never were. So that was another big lie. And will we ever see all of the emails that the FBI recovered? That's an open question. Or will we see them before the election? But in terms of these emails that are coming out, what they're doing is substantiating the stories that were very well sourced to begin with, but even better sourced now, that are in Peter Schweizer's book, Clinton Cash. All these players are profiled in Clinton Cash. You go around the globe. Brett Baer did that special on Fox News 6 months ago, essentially taking the Clinton Cash book and dotting the globe with all of these business interests that intersected with the Clintons, Clinton Inc., and the Clinton Foundation while she's Secretary of State. I mean, as Rudy Giuliani said yesterday, this would make an excellent racketeering case. Rudy Giuliani, who knows something about prosecuting crime families in New York City as a U.S. attorney there. He, went on to say, look, how long is it going to take for the FBI to investigate? Are we going to wait until She's president for a year. I mean,
well, and it brings me back to that interview that Cynthia McFadden got. She nabbed it with Bill Clinton when he was in Nigeria.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about Clinton Foundation, and you can't hear this enough.
We have never done anything knowingly inappropriate in terms of taking money to influence any kind of American government policy.
Mm-hmm.
Knowingly. That adverb is
knowingly
key. This is the 21st century version of depends on what the definition of is.
Yeah.
I mean, so you know, and this is really should be a central focus of the campaign, an issue which Hillary Clinton should be peppered for answers about routinely on the trail, and she's not because, again, Trump's rhetoric is interfering with a discussion about her actions.
Well, it's interfering with the real issues. And please, somebody get Trump focused so that we can focus on this. And who can reach out to him, Dan, besides one Dan Proft?
Somebody's got to get to Ivanka.
Oh, see?
That's a shaman.
There you go.
Joe in Milwaukee.
She's his gatekeeper.
Hey, Joe.
Okay there, Joe.
Joe in Milwaukee,
morning,
you're on. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're on.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Hey, just a real quick correction for Amy there. A little bit of ready, fire, aim there, Amy, with your report about Trump being investigated by the Secret Service yesterday by the Second Amendment comments. That's not true. Reuters reported it this morning that that never happened. It was made up by CNN. So I think, Dan, the way you started this block was perfect. Some perfect advice for Amy. You got to be suspect about everything coming from the mainstream media these days.
All right.
I don't
Thanks
know.
for the call, Joe.
I heard it from CNN too and ABC, and then they both said that the Trump camp denied it.
Well, clearly he's not being investigated.
No, but they spoke to him. But then again, he does have Secret Service protection. So.
Yeah, right. He speaks to Secret Service agents every day. He's got a phalanx of them around him. John and Peatone, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning. You know, for once, I'd like to say what Trump doesn't say is what really is the problem. When he said that President Obama and Hillary were responsible for ISIS, that's exactly right. He disrespected over 5,000 of our soldiers by pulling all of those soldiers, the rest of them, out of the Middle East and allowing ISIS to grow. And all these other radicals. It sickens me when I think of generals going on the attack with Hillary Clinton, saying that Donald Trump is wrong. For once, Donald Trump needs to complete his statements. When he said that, he should have said disrespecting the military.
Well, John, John. I mean, I think this is the point. This is the point I was trying to make before, and what you said is an argument. What you said is a statement where dots are connected. Rather than just saying he's the founder of ISIS and she's the co-founder. Now applaud.
Exactly.
These are the kinds of statements Donald Trump needs to make to explain the terrible policy choice he made when he thought ISIS was the JV team, and he turned out to elevate them to varsity and then professional. And it was his policy choices. This whole founder, that's cartoonish. He needs to make serious arguments about serious issues, which is what you're doing, and that's the frustration, I think.
Yeah, I stood there, and Marseilles has a Middle East wall. Mm-hmm. That during the conflicts, every year, members of the military would read 30 names of soldiers that had died within that conflict. I read 30 names. What really got me was when we would bring a parent up that had a child that died in that conflict, and they read 29 names, and the 30th name was their child.
Mm.
You want to talk about a moving event? It sickens me what Clinton and Obama have done to our military, the disrespect that has been shown. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up next, Ted Strickland on Scalia's death. But first, here is your forecast. Hot and humid today. Sunshine, a few high clouds. 92 for tonight's Bears-Broncos preseason game at Soldier Field. You're going to have warm and humid conditions. A shower or thunderstorm late well after the game is over. And then Friday, a couple of strong thunderstorms, mainly later in the afternoon, a high of 87. Let's get those travel times. Here's David Morrison in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks very much, Amy. Eden's still doing fine. The inbound Kennedy's 21 minutes from O'Hare into downtown, just tied off the extension to Cumberland. The outbound trip is fine. The inbound Ike's 37 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Outbound is good. Stevenson inbound clocks in at 38 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to downtown, 27 minutes. Both the Ford and I-57 are slow approaching the Dan Ryan. Tri-State northbound now on the brakes between the Stevenson and the Hinsdale Oasis, and 88 to the outbound 290 ramp. All the other tollways are doing fine. I-80 westbound, there's still a rollover crash in the left lane at 355, but not causing too much of a backup from what we can tell. And in northwest Indiana, ongoing trouble spot 65 southbound at State Road 10. All lanes remain blocked off because of an earlier semi-fire. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
I absolutely love my Solatube. It's so simple that it's genius. In only 2 hours, it transformed the darkest room in my home. Now, you've heard me talk about Solatube and this amazing technology. It's a small roof dome that captures sunlight, then reflective tubing transfers the sunlight into brilliant daylight that fills your room. Again, it takes only 2 hours to install, and there are a lot of beautiful options to choose from, and it's affordable. Prices start under $800. Now, the natural lighting truly brightened my room, and it seems so much larger. I highly recommend that you brighten your home with a natural light using Solatube daylighting systems. Here's what you do. Call my friend Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros. That's a Solatube Premier dealer. For your free consultation, call Katie at 844-789-SHINE, S-H-I-N-E, SHINE. Mention me and receive $75 off your first Solatube. That's 844-789-SHINE, or visit ChicagoSkylightPros.com to view the video and see the amazing before and after pictures. That's ChicagoSkylightPros.com.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Robert Weissite of Robert C. Weissite Company agree.
I appreciate the depth of experience my Cornerstone banker brings to the table. Last June, we located a building we wanted to buy for expansion. My Cornerstone banker walked me through everything I could expect to face in advance, from the letter of intent all the way through the day of closing. It went very smooth and predictably and with low stress. He had been through this type of transaction many times, and his years of experience helped me make my purchasing experience predictable, efficient, and successful.
Thanks, Bob. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
Hey, you've heard how Automated Systems excels at assisting companies with systems integration and FDA compliance, but they're also a staffing leader. They supply handpicked elite leadership, subject matter experts, and proven technical professionals in engineering, quality control, and FDA compliance to support the life sciences field in executing mission-critical projects. ASI provides highly specialized pros to deliver projects on time and budget. Don't pay a lot more to a big consulting firm, and don't trust the big temp agencies to supply the talent you need. Call Laz, my friend Laz at Automated Systems, when failure isn't an option. ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life sciences companies, from big pharma to startups, and excel through a culture of excellence in execution. For a staffing, compliance, or automation evaluation, call Laz now at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI or AutomatedSYS.com.
AM 560, The Answer. When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
There's classes that teach that. What to do when you're running. We're watching Fox News right now, news channel, and they're simulating what to do if you get grabbed from behind while you're jogging. You turn around and you go, "Hiya!" and you kick him in the naughty bits.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll go away. But 2 women have been killed by jogging, one in New York and New Jersey. So I know when you run, Dan, I want you to protect yourself, Dan. That's why I'm going to give you a whistle tomorrow. So you blow that whistle.
I only run if there's a ball in my hand or I'm being chased. So I
don't go out for leisurely
recreation.
I can't find you on the Lakeshore Drive, Lake Path there.
No.
For leisurely jog.
No, you will not. The issue of ill-advised rhetoric.
Yes, we've been talking a lot about it.
Intemperate musings about politics.
Exactly what I was going to say, yes.
Ted Strickland, he's a former governor of Ohio. He was defeated by John Kasich. He was destroyed by John Kasich, actually. Now he's running for Senate against Rob Portman. It's a competitive race. Rob Portman's going to win, but it's a competitive race.
Rob Portman, who also did not attend the RNC.
Ted Strickland is appearing at an AFL-CIO rally. He also places some emphasis on the Supreme Court nominees, like Donald Trump and many Republicans do. Here's Ted Strickland's version of events and what's important and what events have been fortuitous. And tell me about intemperate language when you hear what Ted Strickland has to say. Major party, former Democrat governor of Ohio, major party Democrat candidate for U.S. Senate.
And my friends, a lot of average citizens out there don't understand the importance of that court. I mean, the death of Scalia saved labor from a terrible decision. And I don't wish anyone ill. But it happened at a good time.
Now, why isn't the Secret Service all over him on that comment?
Well, because Scalia's already dead. So
well, I know.
Yeah. The death of Scalia, but maybe the media could be, though. The death of Scalia saved labor, and then that's an applause line. So it's not just Strickland, it's also the AFL-CIO rank and file that are, clapping their fins like trained seals in response to that line. And then I don't wish anybody will. That's a punchline before the AFL-CIO. So when you think about, working man and woman, and you think that the AFL-CIO or SEIU or AFSCME or the teachers' unions represent them, and they're the good guys, they're the ones wearing the white hats. No, they're not. They're just not. I mean, some of the rank and file are good people and not good people, just like anywhere else in the world or in any other sector. But the idea at the leadership level as a political enterprise, which is what these public sector unions are, because, of course, they're dependent on government, and this distinguishes them, I hasten to add, from the trades. I'm not talking about electricians and plumbers and operating engineers and carpenters. Totally different thing. Private sector, real collective bargaining agreements where you have negotiation between real management, not paid for management by labor, and labor. No. Public sector unions, teachers, AFSCME, SEIU, and that's who drives the AFL-CIO. They are the impediment to progress. They are the proximate cause of most of Illinois' financial problems. And then the politicians they buy and control. I mean, by extension, of course. Right. And that's Ted Strickland, a high-ranking Democrat, talking about, with glee, Scalia's death, saving labor, quote unquote. I'm really talking about public sector unions, and the reaction he gets from AFL-CIO. Factor that in. That's something else Donald Trump may want to point to that Hillary Clinton perhaps could get asked about.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey there, this is Eric Metaxas. Lately, I've been telling you about Liberty University's online degree programs. Liberty University is the world's largest Christian university with over 95,000 students studying around the world through Liberty's online programs. While there are a lot of universities who've jumped into online education, few can deliver on the promise of a quality education with such flexibility, and even fewer can actually point to a graduate of their online program like my friend Morgan from Nashville.
I did it. I actually got my degree from Liberty University. 2 degrees, actually. Not only has this process taught me self-discipline, I've also learned that it is never too late to fulfill your dreams. And I did it all online. I did it, and you can too.
Call Liberty University now at 800-424-9595. That's 800-424-9595, 800-424-9595, or visit liberty.edu/online. Flexible, affordable, possible. Liberty University online.
What's your caliber? Black Rhino Concealment knows many AM 560 listeners carry or plan to and want the best holsters. For concealed carry, range practice, or competitive shooting, Black Rhinos are comfortable and safe. Every holster is handcrafted by veterans of 100% virgin Kydex with American-made fasteners. From precision fit and finish to secure retention and quick draw, a Black Rhino is the finest holster at a modest price. Backed by a lifetime material warranty and workmanship guarantee, Black Rhino has tactical carrier and concealed carry systems for every caliber. You and your firearm deserve a Black Rhino. The Second Amendment protects our right to bear arms, and Black Rhino protects those arms. Black Rhino Concealment, we hold your caliber against you. Visit blackrhinoconcealment.com or call 847-783-6499 for showroom info. Use the promo code AM560 for a 10% discount on your first order. That number again, 847-783-6499.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The NRA responds to Hillary, and we'll get John Lott Jr.'s response to both at 6:36.
And later, all my dad wants for his birthday is term limits for Illinois Senate and House members. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
76 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and Canadian police say this morning a man previously banned from associating with ISIS terrorists is plotting a suicide attack in a public place. Police this morning say they thwarted a plot that when suspect Aaron Driver was killed last night, he was on his way to perhaps committing an extreme plot, a suicide bombing or other attack in a very public place. Described as a man in his mid-20s, originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Donald Trump accusing President Barack Obama of founding ISIS, making that accusation at a rally Wednesday near Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, okay? He's the founder. He founded ISIS.
The White House isn't commenting. Trump has long blamed the president and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for pursuing Mideast policies that created a massive power vacuum. Hillary Clinton slamming Trump for his recent Second Amendment comments.
And now his casual inciting of violence. Every single one of these incidents shows us that Donald Trump simply does not have the temperament to be president.
The Democratic presidential nominee will outline her economic plans during a major speech in Michigan later today. Germany's Interior Ministry presenting a package of measures meant to beef up security following a recent string of attacks in the country. Chancellor Angela Merkel is calling for measures like a ban on all-body veils worn by some Muslim women in Germany and a tightening of rules on dual citizenship. A serial killer known as the Grim Sleeper has been sentenced to death for the murders of 9 women and a teenage girl that went unsolved for years. Lonnie Franklin Jr. avoided suspicion for decades while working as a garage attendant for the Los Angeles police. One person remains in custody following a home invasion and stabbing incident in Buffalo Grove. Cook County judge blocks the release of Laquan McDonald's juvenile records to the legal team of the Chicago police officer accused in the murder of McDonald. And 3 are in custody in connection with the shooting of a Carbondale police officer last month. Police say the 3 were arrested earlier this week in Saline County, Kansas. KC over the White Sox in 14 innings, 3-2. While Jason Hamill and the Cubs beat the Angels 3-1. Bears take on the Broncos tonight in a preseason contest. The news, a service of Aruba Tourism. Up for a little adventure in paradise? Just head down to Aruba. Go beyond the beautiful beaches and explore Aruba's dramatic coastlines, ancient caves, and hidden gems. Hop a nonstop flight from O'Hare to One Happy Island. Plan your shortcut to happiness today at Aruba.com. 6:34 is our time, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Hannity Show.
You know, things are so bad, and I know everyone's all focused on Mr. Khan, but Donald Trump was not talking about the Khan family. This is a non-issue. So every time CNN and MSNBC and their abusively biased coverage of Donald Trump comes up, just remember what I told you. And remember what I said in 2007 and 2008. Journalism in America is dead. It's dead and buried.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
You'll find great deals on brands like $400 off a Cabela's Signature 64 Safe and more this week at Cabela's. Plus, join them this weekend for their free safety education seminars because responsible ownership starts at Cabela's.
I'm Alice, owner of a growing company. Our entire business depends on our phones, so I was challenged when our phone service providers struggled to deliver our calls. Missed calls means lost revenue. I heard Innovative Networks helped AM 560, so I called. They provided an innovative solution that reinforced our phone infrastructure and enhanced call flow. I truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing us a solution that scales as my business expands. They even replaced our outdated phone system and provided hands-on training to maximize our capabilities. Amazingly, it cost us nothing. I'm saving money and more focused on growing my business. I'm thrilled with Innovative Networks.
Follow Alice's lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-889-9090. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-889-9090 or visit go4inet.com. Are you happy with your carrier?
6:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
Outbound side of the Edens, 21 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. The inbound side also 21 from Lake Cook to the junction. The inbound Kennedy's 27 from O'Hare to downtown. The trip back out's 31 to the airport. Inbound on the Ike, it's 43 out from Thorndale to downtown. Outbound's 37. The Stevenson inbound's 50 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The trip back out's 36 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound, 95th to downtown at 27 minutes. Both the Ford and I-57 are jammed approaching the Dan Ryan. Lakeshore Drive southbound, heavy approaching the Stevenson. The northbound Tri-State is backed up from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and from the Reagan Tollway up to North Avenue. No delays on the other tollways. 80 westbound at 355, they still have a rollover crash in the left lane. And in northwest Indiana, 65 southbound remains closed at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi-fire. This report is sponsored by Amtrak. Great memories are made on trains, not in traffic. Experience travel the way it should be. Go from Chicago to Dallas for $102 with Amtrak Saver Fares. Book now at amtrak.com/saverfares. See where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Hot and humid today. Clouds and sunshine in your forecast. High 92. 75 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Ayn Rand Institute and the Yaron Brook Show. Heard Saturday afternoons at 4 here on AM 560, The Answer.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. What up, Dan and Amy? So, the cable news channels and the punditocracy still pouring over Trump's comment about the Second Amendment. Of course, Second Amendment people. Of course, Hillary using it on the campaign trail to try and make political hay and keep it front and center so that she's not. The NRA has responded with an ad on Hillary and her hypocrisy, sending a message to Second Amendment people as well.
She's one of the wealthiest women in politics. Combined income, $30 million. Tours the world on private jets. Protected by armed guards for 30 years. But she doesn't believe in your right to keep a gun at home for self-defense.
I fully appreciate how hard life is for so many Americans today.
An out-of-touch hypocrite. She'd leave you defenseless. The NRA Political Victory Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
What do you think of that?
Do you think that's truthful?
Well,
Want to fact check that?
What's there to fact check?
I thought she was just trying to ban assault rifles, not trying to take away our Second Amendment right to bear arms.
Of course not. The gun banners don't discuss things that are unpopular. They move from the popular to the unpopular surreptitiously as much as they can because that's the only way to advance their agenda. If they were transparent about banning guns, of course, there's no popular support for that. This is why I go back again, and this is important in the context of what Trump said the other day about Second Amendment people and their political power. This is why when Obama's president and Democrats have control of both chambers the first 2 years of his first term, what did they do to advance that assault weapon ban they were so up in arms about, pun intended, when
they
it
did
sunset?
Nothing. What did they do about immigration? They did nothing.
Right, but on sticking on guns, it was not politically feasible. Why? because the Republican Party could learn a lesson from the Second Amendment grassroots groups about organizing and exercising political power the same way different constituencies of the left exercise political power. And that's how it works in a pluralist representative republic. For more on the gun issue and public safety, which seems to be quite an important issue in the city of Chicago these days, we're now happy to be joined again by Dr. John Lott, president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. John, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, always great to talk to you. Thanks.
And so how did you react as somebody who is really kind of an academic when it comes to issues of crime and the right to self-protection and the impact of law-abiding citizens carrying guns and using guns to protect themselves? How did you react to what Trump had to say the other day?
Well, I guess there are two parts of the statement. One is what Hillary Clinton's views are on it and what she would plan to do. And I don't really think what she's going to do is secret at all. I mean, she's been very clear that she wants to appoint Supreme Court justices who will overturn the Heller and McDonald decisions. The Heller decision overturned Washington, D.C.'s gun ban, and the McDonald decision 2 years later overturned the handgun ban that you had in Chicago. But, Hillary says, well, she wants to overturn them just to have reasonable regulations. Those decisions dealt only with gun bans. In Washington, D.C., handguns were banned, but then it was also a felony punished by 5 years in prison if you actually loaded a bullet into the chamber of a rifle or a shotgun shell into a shotgun. And as the Supreme Court said, that effectively outlawed all self-defense that people could have with guns. It outlawed the actual operation of guns within the district, of all types of guns. And so, right now you have 4 liberals on the Supreme Court who have indicated quite strongly that they believe those decisions were wrongly decided and that they would overturn them. Whoever appoints Justice Scalia's replacement will be able to essentially determine the outcome of that. And so if she overturns those decisions, it will again be possible for governments of any level to be able to go and ban guns. And I'm not really sure what's left of the Second Amendment if you say the government has the power to completely ban guns.
Right, and of course, it's important to note the McDonald decision. Of course, that was a case generated in Chicago.
Yeah. So you're really saying a Hillary Clinton presidency means the end of our Second Amendment?
It means the end of the Second Amendment in terms of, what protection does the Second Amendment offer if the government has the power to completely ban all guns? What is the point of even having it in there if the government has the power to ban all guns?
Yeah, it's funny. Even Ice-T, the rap star Ice-T, he was on television overseas earlier this week, and he was talking about, because he was asked a question about the incidents of mass shootings in America, and he talked about his gun rights, and he talked about the fact that gun rights aren't about hunting. It's about protection against tyranny, whether that tyranny is the central government or local governments. So it's one of these things that seems to be intuitive for the overwhelming majority of Americans, and this is why it's very difficult for Hillary to be honest about where this goes. She just wants to kind of talk about Supreme Court nominees.
Right. You have statements that she's given at a couple different fundraisers where she's been completely unambiguous, completely clear, no secret statement about the fact that she wants to overturn those 2 decisions. So, with regard to Ice-T's comment, I have a new book that's out, War on Guns, and one of the things I go through there are statements by President Obama as well as Hillary somehow claiming that the United States is unique in terms of these mass public shootings. The media just doesn't cover a lot of the mass public shootings that occur in Europe or the rest of the world. If you look at just during Obama's presidency, you find, in fact, the European Union has 50% more casualties from mass public shootings than the United States has had during that exact same period of time. And the rest of the world is much, much worse than either Europe or the United States.
I want to address a local issue, though. I note that you're, in addition to your book, which mentioned again, The War on Guns, Arming Yourself Against Gun Control Lies, John Lott's new book. You're the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. That name was chosen for a reason. What's the reason?
Well, I mean, we want to try to save lives in different ways. We look at policing. We look at other types of laws, such as gun control. And I've been an academic most of my life, and we have a very prestigious academic board that has expertise in these areas. And so we try to, that's the research part of it.
I wonder.
The book, I think if anybody looks through the book, you'll see what I think is accessible but academic type research on a wide range of issues. I don't go and talk about Second Amendment or what have you. To me, the bottom line is whether different regulations save lives or whether they protect people from injuries or other types of crimes that can be committed against them.
What is your take on Hillary Clinton's refusal to seek the endorsement of police unions?
Well, I mean, it's the first time any major candidate has not sought that endorsement. In fact, in 1996, the National Fraternal Order Police endorsed her husband, Bill Clinton, when he was running for re-election. And just 4 years ago, in 2012, the group did not endorse either Romney or Obama. So it's surely possible for a Democrat to get. Plus, one has to realize this is a union, and they go and care about lots of union issues. So they have like collective bargaining, which you would think Republicans aren't going to support collective bargaining for public employees. Democrats traditionally have supported something like that. If you go through the questionnaire, the first half of the questionnaire are pretty much basic union-type issues that you would think Republicans would have a hard time with. But it's obviously on the second part, dealing with crime, that Hillary Clinton would have a tough time. Most people don't realize how strongly police officers support the Second Amendment in this country and people's ability to own guns. The questionnaire basically asks for a pledge from the presidential candidates that they view the Second Amendment as sacrosanct. They actually use that word. And that they want a pledge from the presidential candidates saying that they realize that gun control is not useful in reducing crime. Obviously, Hillary Clinton couldn't make either of those two pledges.
And hopefully the FOP has learned their lesson from some of those previous endorsements and non-endorsements you mentioned. Sticking with police for a second, I wonder if you and your researchers have looked at what Department of Justice is doing as they intervene in some of these local police departments, Ferguson, Missouri, Chicago, the announcement about the Baltimore Police Department yesterday proposing sweeping overhauls of the racist practices and accusations of systemic violation of civil rights in the Baltimore Police Department made by Justice. What do you think about that kind of federal intervention into local police?
Well, I think the way it's being done by this particular administration is outrageous. Look, we have requested multiple times to look at the data that the Justice Department used in its Ferguson investigation. They will not release the data to anybody that they had, even in kind of just general summary statistics. So they won't allow anybody to check what they've done. It's pretty obvious that it was more of a political statement than actual research that was there. I'll just give you one example. The Obama administration claims that discrimination exists whenever there's kind of disparate outcomes. So they say, look, a third of the population of Ferguson is black, 76% of the people who are stopped are black in terms of traffic stops. Therefore, that's proof of racial discrimination. One thing they don't mention, for example, is that there's 7 cities that border the outskirts of Ferguson. The average black population for those 7 cities is 91%. Now, a lot of those people from outside are going to drive through Ferguson. And so it's not just the population of Ferguson that you care about. You want to go and know. And, in fact, I've talked to the former police chief in Ferguson, and he's made it clear that, look, like lots of jurisdictions, They don't want to have to pay for the whole budget by taxing the people within the city. So they go and they set up kind of traffic stops and things like that for people from out of town to do that. Now, that can be bad, and you may not like it, but the point is they want to export their taxes, in a sense, that are there.
Yeah.
And so, you're going to look at what the population is like for people who travel from out of town. And if you look at the general area, it's even much more heavily black than the percentage of people who are stopped.
Right. Fun with numbers. He is Dr. John Lott. He's president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. He's the author of many popular books, well-researched books like More Guns, Less Crime is one of my favorites. He's got a brand new book out now called The War on Guns, Arming Yourself Against Gun Control Lies. Dr. John Lott, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, great talking to you. Thanks.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Today, plenty of sunshine. The heat and humidity continues. The high of 92 degrees. Tonight for the Bears-Broncos preseason game, it's going to be hot and humid, warm and humid. Shower or thunderstorm long after the game. What does that mean?
That means?
What does that mean?
At least 3 Cutler picks.
Oh, there you go. If he even gets in. No, he'll play for a little bit until he gets a hangnail. And then tomorrow, Friday, we're going to have a couple of thunderstorms, mainly later in the afternoon. Some could be strong. A high of 87 degrees. Anything strong travel times? Here's David Morrison.
Starting to see some building traffic times on the inbound side of the Edens Amy. There's a new crash in the left lane at the junction. 30 minutes from Lake Cook down to Montrose. The outbound trip's 21 back out to the airport. Inbound Kennedy, 31 from O'Hare. Outbound is 36. The inbound Ike, about 45 minutes from Thorndale to the post office. The reverse commute is 38. Stevenson inbound is 51 minutes from 355. Outbound's 38 back out to the north-south tollway. Dan Ryan inbound, 95th to downtown at 30 minutes. Both the Ford and I-57 still snug getting to the Dan Ryan. Lakeshore Drive southbound, building approaching the Stevenson. Building delays on the tollways. The heaviest is the northbound Tri-State, backed up from 82nd Street to 75th, then the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, and then the Reagan tollway up to North Avenue. Southbound is doing fine. I-80 westbound, there still is a crash at the Veterans Memorial, which is 355. That rollover is still in the left lane. And southbound I-65 at State Road 10, all lanes remain blocked off because of an earlier semi-fire. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. How will Wall Street react to new, larger federal budget deficits? New jobless figures are due out, and Florida officials say mosquitoes are under control. Those stories next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. With the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can actually see them. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Enjoys a 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993 or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
Wall Street watching to see how investors react to news late yesterday from the Treasury Department that the government's budget deficit had ballooned in July and overall deficits are running 10% ahead of last year. And we'll be watching the Labor Department an update on new jobless claims released today. Also due out the latest figures on import and export prices. Officials in Miami-Dade County's business and arts district saying mosquito populations are dropping now in areas such as Wynwood, which has been ground zero for the Zika outbreak in South Florida. Residents and tourists have been staying away for fear of contracting the virus. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
You always listen to AM 560, The Answer. You've heard all about Turnkey IT, Chicagoland's leading IT service provider for small business. Turnkey provides world-class support and customizable plans for businesses with 5 to 100 users. And with some of Turnkey IT's programs, you get all new equipment, free security, and antivirus protection. Sound great? Then why haven't you called Turnkey IT? There's really no excuse. Turnkey IT is setting you up with their best offer yet. Through the summer, all AM 560 listeners receive their first month of service for just $1. Your business will receive comprehensive coverage, including unlimited help desk and online support, network hosting, and antivirus protection its first contracted month for just $1. Ready to make the switch? It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro now. That's turnkey.pro. And tell them AM 560 The Answer sent you. Get ready to focus on the important things of your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros. Visit turnkey.pro today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Happy birthday to you.
It's not your birthday. It's
No, I
not
know
my
it's
birthday.
not.
It's my dad's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Pops. And I don't know how old you are, and I don't want to know because that will make me feel old.
Are you getting him like a Titleist D2 driver? I know he's a.
No, he's an
I know he's an avid
golfer.
golfer.
Yeah, he golfs every day.
Get him something nice.
Yeah, sometimes more than 18 holes.
What are you getting him?
Well, what he wants, because he sent out an email blast, he doesn't want any more T-shirts or golf balls or golf clubs. He wants us to all log on to fixillinois.com, and he wants term limits. He wants us to sign the petition to support term limits in Illinois. So
Very civic-minded birthday
yes,
wish.
he said too many politicians will do anything to hang on to power. And he says it's time to change corrupt Illinois by changing the system, by having term limits. Now, he did encourage our out-of-town family members to log in with his zip code. Is that legal, Dan?
Yeah,
or since it's his birthday, he gets what he wants?
It's legal-ish,
Happy birthday, Dad. I'll log on I'll sign the petition many, many, many times.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that could be my reality.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Gentlemen, Dan Proft here. When it comes to your health, do you know your number? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol numbers, but do you know your testosterone number? I know my number thanks to my friends at Low T Center. They made it easy. Walked in, took a simple blood test, and got my results in minutes. If you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T levels make you feel tired and grumpy, can raise your cholesterol, and even cause weight gain. At Low T Center, treatment is covered by most health insurance. So, guys, do yourself a favor and do what I did. Find out what your number is. Call Low T Center now at 630-409-4305. Tell them Dan Proft sent you. That number, 630-409-4305. Again, 630-409-4305 is the number, or visit them online at lowtcenter.com.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
Jeff Sessions, senator from Alabama, Trump supporter, gives us a little insight into what vetting immigrants into this country looks like at 7:07.
And later, the 2016 Olympic athletes are setting records, and an Armstrong wins gold in cycling. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, Canadian police say a man previously banned from associating with terror groups was plotting a suicide attack in a public place. Details from Fox in just a moment. One person is in custody following a Buffalo Grove stabbing. Mayor Rahm Emanuel calls for teachers to help out, pitch in to help solve CPS's financial woes. The Bears kick off the NFL preseason tonight while the Cubs cut down the Angels for their 9th straight win. Hot and humid day with clouds and sunshine in your forecast. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony.
Words matter, my friends.
And it's Donald Trump's words Hillary Clinton's talking about, saying again,
Donald Trump simply does not have the temperament to be president.
Today, the Democrat will detail what she would do for the economy. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave Clinton's speech at a manufacturing company outside Detroit is expected to focus on job development, tax policy, and improving the nation's infrastructure. She's also set to attack Trump's economic plan, which he unveiled earlier this week in Detroit as a handout for the rich that will hurt the economy. Also, look for her to make the case that Trump's policies, notably the corporate tax break, will benefit his companies and his wealthy associates. Dave?
Rachel, Donald Trump says because the Islamic State was created on the president's watch, Barack Obama is the founder of ISIS.
I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
The Republican will campaign today in Florida, a key swing state. There are reports out of Syria that a government strike on a rebel-held area of Aleppo included chlorine gas. The UN Special Envoy to Syria says there's a lot of evidence, and if confirmed, it would be a war crime. Several people are unaccounted for after an explosion and fire at a Silver Spring, Maryland apartment complex around midnight.
We effected multiple rescues. The exact numbers we're not sure about at this time.
Montgomery County Fire Chief Scott Goldstein, at least 30 were injured. Katie Ledecky keeps making a name for herself at the Olympics. Fox's Chris Honig live in Rio.
Katie Ledecky anchoring the U.S. 4x200 freestyle relay team to gold last night, starting her leg down by nearly 1 second, but winning the race by almost 2 full seconds. It's her third gold in Rio and Team USA's 11th gold, 32nd medal overall, tops of the leaderboard. Today, 21 more golds in 11 sports up for grabs, including Simone Biles and Allie Raisman in the women's individual all-around gymnastics finals, and Michael Phelps going for career gold medal number 22. Dave.
And golf just teed off at the Olympics for the first time in 112 years. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Partly sunny, 76 degrees. It's 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One person remains in custody at this hour following a home invasion and stabbing incident yesterday in Buffalo Grove. 2 masked men broke into a home early yesterday on St. Mary's Parkway and stabbed the homeowner repeatedly with a hunting knife. 3 others were treated and released at a nearby hospital, while a dog was also sent to the vet with serious stab wounds. Chicago police say they have no suspects in custody in the fatal shooting of a father of 3 as he sat at his kitchen table paying bills. Authorities say a bullet fired during a fight on the street struck 32-year-old DeMarco Kennedy in the neck late Tuesday. Cook County judge is blocking the release of Laquan McDonald's juvenile court records to the legal team of the Chicago police officer accused of murdering him. Juvenile court judge Patricia Martin agreed with attorneys for McDonald's mother that Jason Van Dyke and his team have no right to the records of McDonald's troubled history as a ward of the state. Mayor Emanuel sending a message to Chicago teachers. AM 560's David Stewart with details.
Mayor Emanuel says that since taxpayers are paying higher taxes to bolster the teachers' pension fund and state lawmakers have promised added money, it's time for the teachers to step up.
The central bureaucracy, in the sense of its fat, has stepped up to be part of the solution. And I think the teachers should be part of the solution in not only stabilizing their finances, but strengthening our classroom.
Specifically, Emanuel wants teachers to assume their full responsibility for pension contributions and phase out the city's coverage of the teachers' share. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
Construction will begin next month on the Illinois Medical District Blue Line station. CTA voting to approve a $23 million renovation project. Work includes the rebuilding of the main station at near Ogden Avenue, recently struck by lightning, and the installation of new security cameras. Lorenzo Cain's 2-out single in the 14th helped the Royals beat the White Sox 3-2. Jason Hamill at his best once again, 6 scoreless innings in a Cubs win over the LA Angels 3-1. Katie Ledecky wins her 3rd gold at the Rio Olympics, while the U.S. men's basketball team is 3-0, rallying to beat Australia, and the U.S. women's field hockey team has advanced to the Olympic quarterfinals after a rout of Japan. The news, a service of Triton College. At Triton College, you'll find real quality in their modern facilities and dedicated faculty. You'll find real value in their courses that will cost you a fraction of 4-year schools. At Triton College, you'll find real opportunity. Visit triton.edu today. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's back. The biggest conservative event in the Midwest returns this October. It's Freedom Summit Chicago 2016, October 29th in Itasca, featuring Alan West, Michelle Malkin, Mike Gallagher, Stephen Moore, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Joe Walsh, and many more. Tickets start at just $29. Order your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated, Saul Z, and the Z Team, and by Best Dental Group.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-467-5125. That's 1-800-467-5125. 1-800-467-5125. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
7:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
Mike, the inbound side of the Eden still has a crash in the left lane at the junction. It's possible that's being moved out of the way right now. It's 30 minutes from Lake Cook down to the junction. Outbound's 27 back out to Lake Cook. Kennedy inbound 37. Outbound is 45 back out to the airport. Inbound to the Eisenhower 50 minutes from Thorndale. Outbound is 40. Stevenson inbound 51 minutes from 355. The trip back out is 38 minutes. The inbound Dan Ryan 30 minutes from 95th to downtown. Expect delays the entire stretch from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Both the Ford and I-57 are heavy approaching the Dan Ryan. Lakeshore Drive southbound a little bit snug between 18th and the Stevenson. Tri-State northbound heavy from Southwest Highway to the Hinsdale Oasis, Ogden to 31st, and 88 up to the Grand Avenue curve. Eastbound 90 is slow from Beverly to Roselle. The eastbound Reagan Tollway hits the brakes between Farnsworth and Eola. Some spots of delays on 355 northbound between Boughton and the Boughton Toll Plaza, then from Butterfield and St. Charles, and from Army Trail up to 290. No other delays in Illinois, but 65 southbound in northwest Indiana still closed at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi-fire. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Hot and humid today with clouds and sun, high 92. Heat index values up to 98 to 103 for the afternoon. Then mostly cloudy with a late night shower or thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 76. Couple of thunderstorms tomorrow, high 87. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we have 75 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio, the show dedicated to the red meat issues, including gun control, privacy, and freedom of speech. Heard Sunday nights at 9 p.m.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Yesterday, we witnessed the latest in a long line of casual comments from Donald Trump that cross the line.
You look at the power they have in terms of votes, and that's what I was referring to. Obviously, that's what I was referring to, and everybody knows it.
What this was all about was the foundation, that the blurring the lines between their political and professional lives, that's what was in the emails, was to look for the pay to play.
We have never done anything knowingly inappropriate in terms of taking money to influence any kind of American government policy.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, question, do you find Donald Trump's dinner bell sloganeering and hyperbole on the campaign trail politically effective? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Or would you like to hear him make more cogent arguments? You know, an argument where you connect dots. You start from a thesis, and then you provide support for that thesis, and then you offer a conclusion. Those sorts of things, you know, like anybody who's ever written a high school term paper would know, because here's what Trump did in Florida yesterday from the stump, talking about ISIS and Obama and Hillary.
And we unleashed fury all over the Middle East. And it was a terrible mistake. And then Obama came in, and normally you want to clean up. He made a bigger mess out of it. He made such a mess. And then you had Hillary with Libya. So sad. In fact, in many respects, you know, they honor President Obama. ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, okay? He's the founder. He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton. Co-founder, crooked Hillary Clinton.
It's almost too much to listen to, but this is why some registered Republicans are not voting for Donald Trump. And this is why a number of educated white males are jumping ship and going over to Camp Hillary.
Well, so here's the thing. Is it politically effective? I don't want to hear from our friends on listening. Oh, you're attacking Trump, blah, blah, blah. No. Do you
I love
think
the
it's,
bow, wow, wow.
Make an argument that you think this is politically effective, if you think it is. And particularly from Trump supporters, to say, do you think this is advancing the flag for Trump towards victory in November? That's the question. Because there's another way he could have gone with this, too, on the stump. He could have said, let me tell you about ISIS and what has become of ISIS and what has become of our country and free societies in the Western world because this administration has allowed ISIS to metastasize. They first misunderstood ISIS. They misdiagnosed the threat ISIS posed. They did not take appropriate remedial actions when it was clear they had misdiagnosed the threat ISIS posed. And so here we are today with the President of the United States setting these artificial numbers of how many refugees from countries that have been beset by terrorism, how many refugees from those countries shall come to the United States.
That kind of rhetoric that you're speaking is too advanced for Donald Trump.
No, I don't think it is. And maybe that means he has to be more scripted and less off the cuff at some of his rallies, like he is when he gives speeches on economic policy in Detroit. But here, Jeff Sessions yesterday provided some data. As of August 9th of this year, the Obama regime has admitted 61,000 refugees. 8,100 plus from Syria, 7,300 plus from Iraq, 7,000 plus from Somalia, 2,800 plus from Iran, 1,900 plus from Afghanistan. And so they're certainly tracking to meet, if not exceed, the artificial goals they've set. And Sessions gives 20 examples of refugees from or those admitted on a special immigration visa. There was one one instance for an Iraqi individual who were subsequently indicted for terrorist-related activities in Texas, in California, in Idaho, in Minnesota, in Missouri, in Kentucky. So the question is not about the people in terms of the countries they're coming from. The question goes to the vetting that the FBI director, Jim Comey, who we're supposed to believe and take at face value, the left suggests we do, when he makes his pronouncement that Hillary did nothing criminally wrong. But we're not supposed to believe him when he says that the FBI cannot vet the individuals that are coming and the numbers that are coming. And so you cannot provide any even kind of reasonable threshold assurance that the people coming into this country that are being admitted do not mean to do harm to Americans, to their fellow human beings. And we've got 20 examples that Jeff Sessions just pulled off and provided yesterday. And oh, by the way, on the same day that Sessions was talking about what's happened in America, you had a lone wolf suspect in Ontario, a suspected ISIS sympathizer believed to have been planning a suicide bomb attack on a major Canadian city was killed during a police takedown in a southern Ontario town. And this is happening all the time, everywhere.
And that's great information, and I'm glad that you're providing it, to me and to our listeners, of course. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't take away what Donald Trump said.
I'm not saying it takes away from Donald Trump said.
Is the founder of ISIS.
I'm not saying it takes away. I'm saying this is an alternative that he could.
Right.
This is an alternative path for him on the trail. Right? To provide information, to make arguments.
Is it to the point now that you're embarrassed for him? I mean, he said he's the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. He repeated it 4 times.
Yeah, I don't think it's effective. I mean, it may be effective to part of the Trump base, but part of the Trump base is not going to be enough for electoral victory. I started this campaign cycle calling him Sideshow Donald.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have a high opinion of Donald Trump. I never have. My opinion of him has not changed, as I've said, but his opponent has, and that makes a big difference. But this is the Carnival Barker. And I don't think the Carnival Barker wins even as the vehicle for a movement of disaffected Americans. I think as long as he makes this campaign, insists that he make this campaign about him and a referendum question on him, is he that in need of validation that he can't see the obvious play when 70% of the American public thinks the country's on the wrong track, is to make this a referendum on the incumbent, and the incumbent is a Hillary Clinton, even more so than Obama, because she's less popular than Obama.
Mm-hmm.
That is the obvious play.
I love what Charles Krauthammer said. He said he's got an infantile hunger for approval. That he's not so much a megalomaniac and has a big ego, but but he also needs approval. He needs love.
The validation.
Yep. Or validation, as he says.
So the question is, can he get his ego and that hole inside him?
How could he fill the void, is what we're saying.
Can he get past that and exhibit some humility and sensibility? Or are we going to continue to be treated to ill-advised rhetoric for the last 90 days, even though it's hyperbole, and I understand it's sloganeering, and this is not new in politics. That's not my question. The question is it effective? And I think it's a difficult case to make out that this is effective. Let's take some calls. How about Nisi on the south side?
Hello.
Hi, Nisi.
Hi, Dan. I want to tell you that Trump was effective. I saw his whole rally yesterday.
Okay.
And he did, although you guys played that little clip, after that, he went right into the details of why he felt why Obama and Hillary were the founders of ISIS. And he even showed he had some boards and showed stats. So he did get into details.
It's a fair point you make, Nisi. Thank you for the call. And I did see that.
Yeah, the charts.
I did see that. But here's the thing. When you offer the headline that is as incendiary as that headline, what is everybody going to focus on? They're going to focus on the headline. And he knows that. This is the master manipulator.
Does he know this?
This is the master manipulator of the media. This is the celebrity reality TV show star.
Yeah,
of course he knows it.
He's been doing it for 13 years.
So it apparently is a strategic choice. I think it's a poor one. I think he should lead with the argument. He should be a little more boring, frankly.
But he can't control himself, and that's what scares me. If he gets into office, will he be able to control himself?
Oh, Chris at O'Hare.
I think that the symptom that you described, Dan, is absolutely correct. This campaign is a disaster, and my evidence is the Real Clear Politics set of average poll results. And if you go back, the day that the Republican convention opened, he was winning in most of the battleground states, and he was winning nationally by about 2 points. Not above the margin of error, but he was ahead. It has been a steady decline and a decay in support for Donald Trump. So I think he's taking tactics that he used to advantage in the primary. He's plugging them into the general. They are not working. And to answer Amy's question, I don't think he can control himself. I don't think any of us know what he would do in office. So it's a very troubling situation if you really want to improve America and prevent another Clinton, 4 years or 8 years.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Chris.
I mean, and if you look at the numbers, too, before the convention, 54% support among white educated males. Now that's down to 49%. And he's losing in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
What college?
According to NBC, Survey Monkey poll.
White college educated.
White college educated.
You can be educated and not go to college.
Okay.
I just want to make that point. Donna and Gurnee.
Hi. Hi, Dan and Amy. I think that one of the things that he has a problem with is the fact that he's got to walk a fine line. If he becomes too polished or too scripted, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be authentic. But at the same time, the problem is, I think that his team needs to work with him right now in terms of getting him towards the debates. And this is the time where he can polish those kind of statements that he has to make those kind of arguments right now and polish those so that he's ready for the debates. Because I think that come the debates, if he starts making these kind of statements that are kind of half statements or not full, fully developed kind of logical statements, then he's going to get trounced in the debates, and that's where it's going to hurt us.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Don. I mean, I don't think he has to walk that line so much. And if to the extent he does, being unscripted and authentic and also being restrained, I think if to the extent he has to walk the line, he's erring on the wrong side way too far. But I don't even think he needs to do that. Remember the overriding point. It's to make Hillary Clinton the referendum question, not Donald Trump. He can lower the entertainment quotient of his content. Mark in Romeoville.
Hey, good morning, Amy and Dan.
Morning.
Personally, I don't like Trump, can't stand Trump, never did like Trump, never will like Trump. That's the truth. And I think that his campaign is a disaster because he can't keep his mouth in check. But I do have a question when I hear people say that his rhetoric scares them so bad. Do those people think that he's going to run into a nuclear silo and start pressing buttons? Do they think that he has that authority, that ability? That is the question there too.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mark. Yeah, I mean, I think some people are of the left. It's
Mike Pence.
It's a bit silly. It is a bit silly in terms of where this actually leads, in terms of how afraid you are of every little word. But remember, America's one big modern college campus now, and everybody's a delicate little flower. Ralph and Rantoul.
I do not think, good morning, Dan and Amy, that Donald's rhetoric is effective, mostly because in the connecting the dots, I mean, it would have been much more effective had he said something like has been already talked about, if this, then that, if this, then that, ergo ISIS, right? And could build the argument about how Obama's ineffective, absolutely absent world leadership has allowed this rise, even fueled it by supporting counter groups to American peace and prosperity everywhere, including here. Unfortunately, the connected dotters, it's completely lost on the low information crowd because they don't connect the dots between their gigantic wheelie carts full of soft drinks and snack foods and wondering why they have to ride those electric carts around the big box stores as their flesh cools over the sides, dragging in front of the wheels. Why am I so pathetic? I can't even figure that out. There's no hope unless he learns to serve it up for them in chewed up, easy to swallow bites. He's going to continue to be the sound bites for the media that hates him.
Thanks, Ralph.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, hot and humid, a perfect summer day if you like this. 92 degrees as your high. And then tonight for the Bears-Broncos game, the preseason game at Soldier Field. No rain, just warm and humid, and a shower or thunderstorm well past the game time when it ends. And Friday, we could have a couple of thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon, and they can be strong. A little bit cooler, a high of 87 degrees. Any drama on the roadways? Here's David Morrison.
Amy, no major drama except in northwest Indiana where I-65 southbound remains blocked at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi that caught fire involving a hazardous material situation. On the Illinois expressways and tollways, pretty typical out there. The inbound Eden's 25 from Lake Cook to the junction. Outbound is 27. The inbound Kennedy 37 from O'Hare. Outbound 45 to the airport. Inbound of the Ike, Thorndale to the post office is 50 minutes. Outbound is 40. The inbound Stevenson's 51 minutes from 355. Outbound is 38. Dan Ryan inbound slow the whole stretch. 95th to downtown at 30 minutes. Skyway I-57 and the Ford are fine. Lakeshore Drive southbound heavy approaching the Stevenson. We've got pretty hefty delays building on the northbound tri-state from 111th all the way up to LaGrange. The Stevenson to 31st and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Just seeing minor backups on the other tollways. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, I love my Sola too, but really is so simple that it's genius. And in only 2 hours, it did transform the darkest room of my home. Now, you've heard me talk about SolaTube and this amazing technology. A small roof dome captures sunlight, then reflective tubing transfers that sunlight into brilliant daylight that fills your room with no heat involved. It takes only 2 hours, as I mentioned, to install, and there are a lot of beautiful options to choose from, and it's very affordable. Prices start under $800. And the natural lighting truly brightened my room, and it seems so much bigger. So I highly recommend you brighten your home with natural light by using SolaTube daylighting systems. Call my friend Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros. That's a SolaTube premier dealer. For your free consultation, call her at 844-789-SHINE. Mention me and receive $75 off your first SolaTube. That's 844-789-SHINE. Or just visit ChicagoSkylightPros.com. See the video and see the amazing before and after pictures. That's ChicagoSkylightPros.com, ChicagoSkylightPros.com.
The U.S. stock market's on the brink of collapse. World currencies will soon freeze and devalue, and gold will hit $10,000 per ounce. So says New York Times best-selling author and economist Jim Rickards in his latest book, The New Case for Gold. Hi, my name is Adam Barata. I'm the managing director at Advantage Gold. Advantage Gold is on a mission to warn everyone about the massive risks facing all investors right now. And that is why Advantage Gold is giving away Jim Rickards' latest best-selling book absolutely free. Call 800-900-8000 right now to get your free copy. That's 800-900-8000. In this book, Jim explains how loose credit has created massive asset bubbles, why central banks are no longer able to prop up economies by taking on more debt, and why demand for gold will soon spike worldwide, driving the gold price to as high as $10,000. If you care about your financial future, please call now. 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. My name is Adam Barata. We are Advantage Gold, and your future is safe in our hands. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold has the highest ratings according to TrustLink, with a 100% 5-star rating.
Chances are you've had a tax problem, or know someone who has, or will have one. Bad taxes can happen to good people. Tax Defense Partners has been in the industry for almost 20 years. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, don't wait. Call 800-684-7777 now. Waiting can risk wage garnishing, compounding fees, interest, and more. Don't fight the IRS alone. Call Tax Defense Partners at 800-684-7777.
In 1941, Reinhard Heydrich was one of Hitler's highest-ranking commanders and the architect of the final solution. The daring secret mission to take him out was codenamed Anthropoid. Based on the untold true story, critics are calling Anthropoid action-packed. It earns its place in the pantheon of World War II movies.
If we fail, freedom will be wiped from the map.
Anthropoid Resistance has a code name. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent. Starts tomorrow.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. They're setting records at the 2016 Olympics, but not in a category you would think. The 2016 Olympic athletes have discovered a new pastime, Dan, and that's looking for love. Tinder usage has more than doubled since the games began. So much so that a spokesperson for Tinder said that matches on the popular dating app have increased 129% over last weekend alone. And it's happening in the Olympic Village, where there's 31 buildings combined with athletes and some attendees, and they just want some love.
Yeah.
One Swedish athlete, Marcus Niemann, told the news outlet that he got about 10 matches on the app in the first day after he arrived in Rio. So if people don't know what Tinder is, can you let them know what Tinder is? Because I didn't know what Tinder is.
It's what you said. It's a dating app. They couldn't be less interesting, some of these athletes. But I'll tell you what, it's nice that the Olympic Village is being turned into Caligula. I'm sure Gore Vidal is looking down on this fondly. One sports note, though, sad sports note to go the other way.
What?
The passing of John Saunders.
Oh, I know.
That was sudden. I didn't hear cause of death yet. I don't think they released it.
No, they didn't. So I don't know if he was
61 years old. John Saunders from ESPN, of course.
But he was so trustworthy and likable and watchable. And we've been don't you feel like you've known him for 20 years now on ESPN? But
I've known him for 30 because that's how long he's been on.
They haven't released his cause of death yet, but I didn't even know he was sick. So I'm sure we'll find out soon.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
The success of a mid-sized business often comes down to one thing: managing your cash flow. I'm Ann Dollagell, Treasury Management Executive at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, we take a personalized and proactive approach to structuring your cash management solutions to keep your financial assets safe and working for you. Our automated accounts receivable and accounts payable technology allows your business to grow without adding to your overhead expenses. And what truly sets Signature Bank apart is our personal approach. We get to know your business by rolling up our sleeves to work alongside you. Call me today for a review of your company's operational challenges.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I promise, after we have Sam Adams Jr. on at 7:37, we won't talk about Blagojevich again for at least 7 years.
It's the day after the resentencing. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
77 degrees. It'll be a big warm-up later today, topping out at about 91. At least 30 are hurt. Many are missing after a massive explosion and fire at a Washington, D.C. Suburban apartment complex. This resident moments ago described the terrifying scene.
And all I heard was a big boom. And it sounded like an earthquake, the one that happened a couple of years ago.
Three-alarm blaze broke out at a complex in Silver Spring, Maryland. 150 firefighters from several counties were on hand to extinguish the flames. Miami counting more cases of the Zika virus. Florida Department of Health yesterday says it found another locally acquired Zika case. That puts the number at 22. Hillary Clinton will outline her economic plans during a speech in Michigan today. The Democratic presidential nominee's campaign calls it a blueprint to help working families. Donald Trump calling out Hillary Clinton as more of her emails are analyzed.
It's called pay for play. You saw this. New emails come out. New emails. How do you think Hillary would feel if emails were never invented? Would she be happy?
Speaking to supporters yesterday in Florida, Trump said it would be like truth serum for Clinton. One person remains in custody following a home invasion and a stabbing in Buffalo Grove. Cook County judge blocking the release of Laquan McDonald's juvenile records to the legal team of the Chicago police officer accused in his murder. And a Cook County grand jury indicts a high-profile Chicago activist on charges of assaulting police officers during a recent Michigan Avenue protest. Kansas City over the White Sox in 14 innings, 3-2, while Jason Hamill and the Cubs beat L.A. 3-1. The news, a service of Burger King's breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 Croissantwich breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious, thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 Croissantwich for $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
My America is really easy. I can sum up my America in about 9.5 seconds.
The Joe Walsh Show.
It's my life, it's my money, it's my family, it's my business. I'll be responsible for everything. Government, get the hell out of my life. 9.5 freaking seconds.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
That might have been 8.5 seconds.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
7:36. Let's get an update on your ride to work this morning in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David.
Mike, inbound on the Edens, 25 minutes from Lake Cook down to the junction. The outbound trip, 27 back out to Lake Cook Road. The inbound Kennedy, 37 from O'Hare. Outbound's 55 back out to the airport. Inbound on the Ike, 58 minutes from Thorndale. Out to Thorndale is 43 from downtown. Stevenson inbound, just about an hour from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The outbound commute, 40 back out to 355. Dan Ryan inbound, it's still slow the whole stretch, but heaviest once you get past the Skyway. It's 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Rest of the Southside expressways are clear. Momentary backup on the southbound side of the Lakeshore Drive between 18th and the Stevenson. Northbound's good. Tri-State southbound heavy 120 down to 137. Northbound particularly jammed up from 111th most of the way up to 31st, and then Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. The Reagan Tollway eastbound at 355. There's a crash on the exit ramp to northbound 355, so that's backing up a little bit heavier. Northbound 355 is particularly heavy between the Army Trail Toll Plaza and 290, but the tollways do have spotty delays elsewhere. I-80 is looking good in northwest Indiana. 65 southbound is still closed at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi-fire. This report is sponsored by Burger King's Breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about in a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 Croissantwich breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 Croissantwich for $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Hot and humid today. Intervals of clouds and sunshine. Top out at 92. Currently 77. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Still devastated.
I mean, honestly, the vicarious connection you have to a corrupt 13 felony convicted former governor of Illinois is strange. Very
People are
strange.
still talking about it. People still are upset about the resentencing. They thought at least he'd get 2 or 3 years knocked off of his sentence. Instead, Judge Zagel kept the sentence as it was, 14 years in prison, then 2 years supervision afterward.
This is what we have. We have a kleptocratic political culture in Illinois where we're supposed to sympathize with the kleptocrats, the head kleptocrats and those that propagate the culture. We're supposed to sympathize with corrupt politicians. We're supposed to obsess about the length of their well-deserved prison terms rather than deal with any of the underlying destruction they have wrought. It's fascinating to me, but it explains why we have what we have, and it explains why I believe that we get the representation we deserve, and I guess we continue to a large extent. Sam Adams Jr., who, along with his father, were Blagojevich's criminal defense attorneys in the first trial in which there was a hung jury. He had a reaction yesterday.
Oh, yeah. He went to
the
resentencing.
Zagel decision.
Yeah, was not happy.
What are we telling our people? What are we telling our children? This man gets 14 years for not getting one dime of political corruption money. Is that really worth it? Is that what we're really supposed to expect out of our society?
Yeah, and we're now happy to be joined by our friend Sam Adams Jr. Sam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. I appreciate you guys asking me to come on.
Sam, so, yeah, is that what we're supposed to teach our children, that corrupt politicians go to jail? We're not supposed to teach them that?
Well, no, that's not exactly. Obviously, you didn't hear what I was saying, which is, of course we do. Of course, if you are going to be convicted of political corruption, there's a price that you have to be paid. Now, the only thing you and I disagree on there is what is that price? And what are we teaching people when you have made amends and you said, I've made mistakes, and you go out and you try to help others, and the appellate court reverses 5 of those convictions? What are we telling people about redemption? What are we telling people about trying to make amends for your mistakes? And can we as a Judeo-Christian society look at this and say, you know what, he should get some credit? Whatever we can sit down and debate how much credit it is, but he should get some credit for the reversal of those counts, which he was convicted of, which were taken into account for his first sentencing. And when he comes back for a second sentencing, he should get credit for that. What are we telling our children?
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you a question, Sam, though.
Of making amends.
So let me just follow up that. The 14-year sentence on the 13 felony convictions, that's well within the sentencing guidelines, isn't it?
As they were presented and as what Judge Zagel said he was going to take into account, which was the $1.5 million, yes, it is.
Okay.
All right.
The
So
only thing you and I disagree on is that what the judge should have done.
Well, and everybody was thinking that he'd get 2 to 3 years at the very least knocked off his sentence. And Judge Zagel insisted that Rod never admitted that he committed a crime, although he was remorseful. What did you hear during Rod Blagojevich's speech to the judge?
He said, I now realize, I was there, I watched it, I heard it. I now realize that this was all of me, mistakes that I have made. At the time, I truly didn't understand the consequences for my actions, but now that I am a broken man, now that I have looked and seen what's happened, I made the mistake, and there is no one to blame but me.
Yeah,
Now,
but Sam, just on that point, I didn't realize at the time the consequences of my action. Really? I mean, he's a member of Congress before he was governor. He certainly understood Chicago politics. He was an observant of Illinois politics. The governor that preceded him went to prison on corruption charges, and in addition to untold numbers of Illinois politicians during his time in politics. And he doesn't understand that you're not allowed to shake down people for campaign contributions?
Well, Dan, apparently the judge didn't either because he misinformed the jury what the law was, and it got reversed by 5. So this is not a cut and dry. This isn't a murder. This isn't where you run into your ex-wife's home and you hold her captive. These were questions of campaign contributions, and even the judge, according to the appellate court, got it wrong. So to say that it's not something that you can make mistakes of, and even if you did and you now understand the consequences of what you did, he shouldn't get credit for that, Dan?
But 13,
is that really where we are as a people?
13 felony convictions. 13 felony convictions. They didn't get that wrong, did they?
Do I think they got that wrong? I certainly do.
Okay, but the courts disagree with you.
Yeah, but they didn't enter in all of the evidence. Why didn't they play, not to sound like Rod Blagojevich, but why didn't they play all the tapes? Why did they get to cherry pick what snippets that they wanted to appear in court before the jury?
And Amy, if you're wrong, why can't we hear them now?
Why is there a protective order now? He's been sentenced. He's doing 14 years. Why can't we have a real debate on whether I was right 6 years ago that if you play the tapes, you will see that he had advice from counsel that he could do these things. Nobody talks about that. Why is there a protective order now?
What about the tapes? What else is on those tapes? I know Rahm Emanuel testified in his second trial, but that was rather uneventful. It seems to me there was a lot of rumors at the time, if I'm recalling correctly, about interaction between the governor and the governor's people and Rahm with respect to that Senate seat. You know, one of the reasons that you have a lot of people suggesting that he should have had a reduced sentence is because they see him being prosecuted and others who they think may be guilty of similar crimes going on scot-free. And I wonder if you agree with that and think there are other people that Blagojevich interacted with that should be implicated as well.
Well, of course, there are people that could be implicated. In fact, the charge was that Jesse Jackson Jr. at the time had offered the $1.5 million, and he never got charged with that, while Blago gets the credit for what his people offered. So there's certainly that. Now, I cannot get into, as of right now, I cannot get into what the specifics were on the tapes because I will run afoul of the protective order.
We won't tell them. We won't tell Judge. We won't tell Judge Zagel if you tell us.
I'm sure he's listening to your program, and everyone listens to you.
Yeah, but when was this protective order going to be lifted? I mean, this is ridiculous.
They have moved for it to be lifted. It has not. Now that the sentencing has gone through, the Supreme Court of the United States had previously said that they wouldn't take it, but they gave a small caveat, my understanding is, that because the sentencing was still up in the air. So I'm sure that Leonard Goodman and Lauren Taseberg, fabulous lawyers, are going to take this up to the Supreme Court and ask again. Once it's over, that should be lifted.
Do you think if the full tapes were released and everybody got to hear everything that was on them, would you characterize information we have not heard to date as explosive?
I'm not going to say it's explosive. Now, I can tell you this, Dan. It goes right to your point, and this is what we wanted to be able to have an opportunity to argue was, it went right to whether or not he thought what he was doing was criminal activity when he's getting advice from legal counsel to do the things. And we tried to raise that. They wouldn't allow us to raise that defense. We put it in there. This is not something where it's one or the other, that we had legal advice to take these particular actions at the time. And the ruling was, since the individual wasn't a criminal lawyer, which is not what the state of the law is, my understanding, he's not allowed to present that defense. And when these tapes are played, you're going to see what I'm saying. It wasn't cut and dry.
Well, why do you think Judge Zagel decided not to temper justice with mercy and reduce his sentence a little bit in this instance?
Well, I honestly believe, because I'm not as cynical as a lot of people are, I truly believe, just like you and I, Dan, I think he just has a difference of opinion as to what this carries. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be cynical and say he did it personally. I know I've told people before, you can blame me. I should have won the first time around. I'm a tough lawyer. I should have done a better job. But with that said,
you're 11 jurors short.
Have a difference of opinion of what this carries.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, and then is he going to take this up to the Supreme Court?
Oh, there's no question they are. I know that Leonard's a fighter. I know that he's going to take this up. And the truth of the matter is, and I wanted to tell this to all your listeners and you guys too, whether you like Blagojevich or you don't, or you like the censure or you don't, this is something that affects us all. What's going on with political contributions affects us all. And this is something we should try to push forward, and let's get rulings so that our political officials know, cut and dry, what they can do, what they can't do. I hate political corruption. And one of the things that I'd like to see is real reform on campaign contributions connected to contracts. We cannot have contracts connected to people who give campaign contributions. And if we can get to the bottom of that, we will change the culture in Illinois.
All right. Well, it sounds like a bit of a campaign speech, Sam Adam Jr.
Going to run for mayor, maybe, Saddam?
No, Dan Prost for mayor.
Boy, my first endorsement. All right. And I suppose that will include some pro bono legal work, because you know how Chicago works, Sam. All right, Sam Adam.
What was that, Dan? I couldn't hear that.
I said I suppose that endorsement comes with some pro bono legal work, too, on my behalf, because you know how Chicago works.
I don't understand that word. What was that word?
Okay, very good. All right, Sam Adam Jr., criminal defense attorney. Sam, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, you guys.
Thanks, Sam. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I know. I love Sam Adam Jr. He's filled in with
colorful.
you.
He's
He's
fun.
filled in with me. It's all good.
And he endorsed me for mayor. How
And
about that?
Dan Proft for mayor. What could go wrong? Today, hot and humid. Yeah, that is your campaign slogan. Today, hot and humid. Some mostly sunshine, a few high clouds. 92 degrees for your tonight Bears Broncos preseason game. No rain in the forecast, just muggy showers and thunderstorms late in the evening. And tomorrow, Friday, a couple of showers and thunderstorms, mainly later in the afternoon. They can be strong. A high of 87 degrees. Let's get those travel times. Hopefully they're not as high. Here's David Morrison in for Jim Telemonte.
Travel times are going up in some places. They're going down in a couple of the other places. Inbound side of the Edens, 21 minutes from Lake Cook to the Junction. Outbound is 35. Inbound on the Kennedy, 37 from O'Hare. The trip back out to the airport, still 55 minutes. Inbound of the Ike, it's an hour 3 now from Thorndale to the post office. The trip back out's just under an hour. Stevenson inbound, 56 minutes from 355. Back out is 40 minutes. Dan Ryan outbound, 15 minutes. Inbound is 30. We have no delays anymore on the Skyway I-57 or the Bishop Ford. Lakeshore Drive southbound, tight traffic approaching the Stevenson. Northbound's good. Tri-State northbound heavy 111th to 31st and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Southbound's tight from 120 down to 137. Minor backups on the eastbound Jane Addams from 25 to Barrington, Elmhurst to Lee. Westbound's jammed Devon Toll Plaza out to Lee. The eastbound Reagan is slow from the Aurora Toll Plaza to Eola and from Naperville to 355. The exit ramp to northbound 355 is currently blocked because of a crash. 355 northbound heavy Boughton to the Reagan, Findlay to St. Charles, and Army Trail to 290. Southbound 65 in northwest Indiana still closed at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi-fire. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, there's a great reason why nearly every AM 560 host endorses this product, because it's the best. Even the National Sleep Foundation agrees that Made in America MyPillow is in a class by itself because they made it their official pillow. Now, if you still haven't purchased a MyPillow, you should. People ask me all the time, does it really work? Do you really use it? I don't only use it, I'm addicted to it. I can't go anywhere without it. And it's a great health investment because it's washable to remove that dead skin, dirt, skin oils, and dust mites that can cause allergies, acne, asthma, and who knows what else. So you really deserve a washable MyPillow. Comes with a 10-year warranty. And it's an excellent health investment. So go to MyPillow.com, type Amy, AMY in that promo code. You'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. Give one as a gift, keep the other for yourself, or just use both, but do it now. 800-489-0201, 800-489-0201, or online at MyPillow.com, promo code Amy.
If you suffer sinus congestion, trouble breathing through your nose, which gets worse when you lie down, facial pain, and sinus infections, antibiotics, nasal sprays, and steroids can only do so much. I'm Dr. Robert Deitch, and excited to tell you that recent advances in our field have opened exciting new doors. We're leading experts in a newer procedure called balloon sinus dilation that gently expands your natural sinus openings to fix underlying drainage problems. It takes 15 minutes and is performed in our office. Balloon sinus dilation is minimally invasive using local anesthesia and best of all delivers immediate and long-lasting relief. We're board-certified ENT specialists who can help you avoid expensive hospital visits and long recovery times.
For immediate and long-lasting relief from your sinus problems, call ENT Associates today at 847-882-5888 or visit nosinusproblems.com. That's ENT Associates at 847-882-5888 or online at nosinusproblems.com.
The U.S. Senior and Women's Open, the BMW Championship, the Chicago Half Marathon, NASCAR racing, the Blackhawks Parade, so many festivals and special events. And they all have one thing in common: Master Fence Rental. Master Fence Rental provides professional fence rental services throughout all phases of your construction project, special event, or emergency situation, along with prompt delivery and expert installation. These are the guys to call when you need to to maintain temporary safety and security at your site. Master Fence Rental is ready right now for your next big event or building project with chain link fences, fence panels, and pedestrian barricades that are uniquely designed and built to be sturdy, safe, and attractive with easy installation and takedown. Event planners, show producers, contractors, request a free quote today and get ready to work with the temporary fence pros. Master Fence. Call 866-622-0822. 866-622-0822 or online, masterfencerental.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
So, where do you find the preponderance of the pretty empty heads? You think it's more like on the cable news channels or Hollywood?
Chuck, I'm going to go with Hollywood for 200.
We've had a couple of Hollywood celebrities opine on the presidential race. Here's Will Smith. You may want to listen to this before you go see Suicide Squad and also read the reviews.
In terms of Islamophobia in America, for me, that's why it's important to show up. It's like I'm in Dubai and I'm having fun and I'm tweeting and I'm showing pictures. Hey, doesn't look like they hate me, does it? And as painful as it is to hear Donald Trump talk, and as embarrassing it is as an American to hear him talk, I think it's good. We get to hear it. We get to know who people are. And now we get to cleanse it out of our country.
Ooh, cleanse the Trump supporters. Cleanse is an interesting...
Cleanse it out of our country?
Cleanse is a rather totalitarian choice of words. Mr. Smith, oh, by the way, you may want to see how well you're treated in some of those Islamic theocracies. Well, you'll be treated well because you're an international celebrity. But, regular, ordinary people who believe in peaceful pluralism, not so much. And then there's Rose McGowan. You remember Rose McGowan from Charmed?
Oh, yeah.
This is the strange bird who dated Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says of Trump, she's feeling the pain of Trump's presidential campaign in the, quote, pit of her vagina. That's what she said. That is a direct quote.
Excuse me.
That is a direct quote.
The JJ here on this show.
That is a direct quote. She wrote an open letter after the RNC. We are sick, living with your daily reign of terror cancer. And it is terror cancer. And she tells the media, stop poisoning humanity, go rogue, reverse course, unplug the microphone, stop covering him, turn the lights out, stop the cancer. It's time to rise and say no more. We are being poisoned by Donald Trump. Boy, just listening to Will Smith and Rose McGowan is almost enough reason to vote for Trump.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Today, our government schools are mass-producing students who are not only largely ignorant of history, science, literature, and geography, but also unable to read, write, or add properly. Sadly, the vast majority of us simply can't afford better private alternatives. The government has effectively squashed any free market in education, making these alternatives expensive, few, and far between. Worse yet, we've been forced to fund these failing government schools with the added insult of having to rely on a public education that we consider inadequate or even harmful to our children. It's time to liberate America from the government schools and recognize parents' right to pursue the best possible education for their children. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Gentlemen, Dan Proft here. When it comes to your health, do you know your number? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol numbers, but do you know your testosterone number? I know my number thanks to my friends at Low T Center. They made it easy. I walked in, took a simple blood test, got my results in minutes. If you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low T. Low T levels make you feel tired and grumpy. It can raise your cholesterol and even cause weight gain. At Low T Center, treatment is covered by most health insurance. Guys, do yourself a favor and do what I did. Find out what your number is. Call Low T Center now at 630-409-4305. Tell him Dan Proft sent you. That's me. The number 630-409-4305. Again, 630-409-4305, or visit them online at lowtcenter.com.
How long were you a slave?
5 years.
What is your name?
Benner. On August 19th, my family was betrayed by my own brother. On the road to revenge, I won't let him go unpunished. One man was shown the path.
There is a way. Defeat your brother in the arena and free us all.
To redemption.
People would follow you. I would follow you.
You should have killed me. I will.
No, brother!
Ben-Hur. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters, Real D 3D and IMAX 3D, August 19th.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Trump supporter willing to scale tall buildings to meet with Trump at 8:08.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Upsetting a terror plot in Canada. Fox News with the latest on that developing story in just a moment. Also, one person in custody following a Buffalo Grove stabbing. Laquan McDonald's juvenile records remain off limits. Bears kick off the preseason NFL football contest tonight at Soldier Field, while the Cubs cut down the Angels for their 9th straight win. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Hillary Clinton says she's humbled.
The Republicans who are willing to stand up and say that Donald Trump doesn't represent their values.
But will they support her plans for the economy? The Democrat will detail them later today in Michigan. Clinton's proposals include
$275 billion to rebuild roads and bridges across the country, debt-free college, expanding Social Security, as well as raising the minimum wage nationally from $7.25 to somewhere between $12 and $15 an hour. She plans to pay for all of that by raising taxes on those who make more than $250,000 a year and eliminating the tax deductions that they can take.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. Donald Trump will be out campaigning in Florida the day after the Republicans said President Obama founded ISIS.
Trump hitting Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama very hard last night on the idea of the rise of ISIS, saying that the terror group came into being as a result of their policies.
Fox's John Roberts. A homegrown would-be terrorist has been killed in Canada. Fox's Jeff Manasso has details live.
Dave, Canada's National Police Force says 24-year-old Aaron Driver planned to use a suicide bomb late last night to carry out bloodshed and terror in the small southern Ontario town of Strathroy, reportedly detonating one device that we're told wounded himself, perhaps another, then trying to set off another bomb before police shot and killed the ISIS sympathizer who's been under a peace bond and court order to not associate with terror groups since 2014. Dave.
Jeff, Syria's military is denying allegations chlorine gas was used, bombing an area of Aleppo, saying rebels fabricated the story, though a UN envoy says there is evidence. Several people are unaccounted for after a fire at a Silver Spring, Maryland apartment building that left at least 30 injured, including firefighters. Some people, after hearing the explosion and when the fire broke out, were dropping out of windows and jumping. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
78 degrees. At 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police say they have no suspects in custody in the fatal shooting of a father of three as he sat at his kitchen table paying bills. Authorities say a bullet fired during a fight on the street struck 32-year-old DeMarco Kennedy in the neck. One person remains in custody following a home invasion and stabbing incident in Buffalo Grove. The victim was hospitalized in serious condition. One of several stabbed inside the home. A dog is recovering from stab wounds at a nearby veterinary clinic. Cook County judge blocking the release of Laquan McDonald's juvenile records to the legal team of the Chicago police officer accused in his murder. Cook County grand jury is indicting a high-profile Chicago activist on charges of assaulting police during a recent protest. AM 560's David Stewart with details.
Jamal Green made headlines when Bernie Sanders supporters shut down a Donald Trump rally earlier this year. Now, he's charged for allegedly striking officers during a running protest last month at the Taste of Chicago and along Michigan Avenue. Attorney Michael Oppenheimer says the 20-year-old Green will plead not guilty.
As we have said all along, and as Jamal has said all along, and as the evidence shows all along, he is not guilty. On the 23rd, he'll be entering a plea of not guilty.
Activist priest Father Michael Flager called Green passionate in his efforts to bring peace to the community. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
Kansas City beat the White Sox in 14, 3-2, while the Cubs were winners over the Angels 3-1. Bears start the preseason tonight hosting Denver. The news, a service of 7-Eleven. Chill out this summer at 7-Eleven. When you get an ice cold Big Gulp, you'll get a free one-day Redbox movie rental. This refreshing deal won't last long. It's only at 7-Eleven while supplies last. Subject to additional terms. Charges apply for additional nights. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network, here's Carol Zimmer.
From the Fox Business Network, stock futures are higher as we head towards the opening bell. Shares of Shake Shack dropping after the chain reported that same-store sales missed analysts' estimates. Shake Shack has been relying on its brand and new stores to help boost revenue, but the restaurant industry is facing a tough environment. Samsung is buying Decor, a U.S. company that makes luxury kitchen appliances. In the past few years, the South Korean smartphone company has made a number of acquisitions, and a 25-year-old has joined the list of the world's 400 richest people. He is Richard Louis Grosvenor, who became the 7th Duke of Westminster after the death of his father earlier this week. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Carol Zimmer.
Fox Business Update, a service of Turnkey.pro, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Marxists, socialists, and communists forget the government doesn't have any money.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
Except money it took from someone who is producing money. Government creates no money. The only way the government has money is if it took it from one of us. And so the only way that it would have money to give these people is if it took more from the other people. Thus, Marxism, communism.
Dave Ramsey, weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-467-5125. That's 1-800-467-5125. 1-800-467-5125. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
It is 8:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here is David Morrison.
Inbound on the Edens, 21 minutes from Lake Cook down to the junction. The outbound trip's 35 back out to Lake Cook. Kennedy inbound, new crash reported at Sayre. It's 50 minutes from O'Hare. Outbound's 57. The Eisenhower inbound an hour 3 from Thorndale back out to an hour back out to Thorndale. Stevenson inbound 58 minutes from 355. Trip back out takes 43 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to downtown holding steady at 30 minutes. The Skyway I-57 and the Ford are fine. Lakeshore Drive southbound a little bit tight, 18th down to the Stevenson. Northbound's doing fine. Tri-State southbound heavy route 120 to Route 137. Northbound is jammed solid 111th all the way up to 31st and then Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. 90 eastbound brake lights from Route 25 to Barrington and Elmhurst to Lee. Westbound from the Devon Toll Plaza to Lee. Eastbound of the Reagan, a little bit tight, Aurora Toll Plaza to Eola, then jammed Naperville to 355. The crash on the exit ramp to northbound 355 is on the side, so traffic can get by. 355 northbound heavy Boughton to 88 and North Avenue to 290. Southbound 53 is tight Palatine to Kirchhoff. Eastbound I-80, it's slow from the Des Plaines River Bridge to Chicago because of a stalled vehicle in the left lane. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, hot and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 92. Tonight, mostly cloudy, warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm in spots late at night. A low tonight of 76. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
77 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Yesterday, we witnessed the latest in a long line of casual comments from Donald Trump that cross the line.
You look at the power they have in terms of votes, and that's what I was referring to. Obviously, that's what I was referring to, and everybody knows it.
What this was all about was the foundation, that the blurring the lines between their political and professional lives, that's what was in the emails, was to look for the pay to play.
We have never done anything knowingly inappropriate in terms of taking money to influence any kind of American government policy.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So we've got this interesting development where a Trump supporter trying to scale a building in a single bound, well,
the Trump Tower in New York.
And using suction cups, so not so much in a single bound, to meet Donald Trump.
It was pretty cool. Did you watch it? I was mesmerized by it yesterday afternoon.
Yes, riveting.
No, it was.
Watching a guy slowly crawl up the side of a building in suction cups.
Yeah, but cupping, everyone's doing it, all the Olympic athletes. And you can cup up the side of a Trump Tower in New York, too. But his name is Steve from Virginia. Today he's in a psychiatric ward in Manhattan being, evaluated. But he wanted to send a message to Donald Trump because he's a Trump supporter. And he wanted to reach him at the top of the tower.
Hello, Mr. Trump. Do excuse my manner of appearance. I just don't know how many people will watch this.
Oh, they're watching.
And I'd rather not be recognizable. I'm an independent researcher seeking a private audience with you to discuss an important matter.
Yeah.
I guarantee that it is in your interest to honor this request. Believe me, if my purpose was not significant, I would not risk my life pursuing it. The reason I climbed your tower was to get your attention. If I had sought this via conventional means, I would be much less likely to have success because you are a busy man with many responsibilities. I'll get my contact information to your campaign so that if you are interested, you can respond.
And that message will explode in 30 seconds.
His profile name was Levin Thumps. That's what his YouTube channel's under, but his real name's Steve. But he also said at the end of that riveting video, be sure to get out and vote for Mr. Trump in the 2016 election.
If didn't want to be recognized, he may want to have reconsidered trying to climb up the side of Trump Tower in New York.
Well,
I mean, that's kind of draws attention to you.
He made that video in a hoodie, but you could still tell who he was, and it was the same person who was climbing up the side of the Trump Tower. Now, near the 21st floor, NYPD went out, grabbed him, and pulled him in.
Yeah, and they've got experience doing this. I mean, going back to the 70s with Philippe Petit on a wire across the World Trade Towers, right?
Yeah.
The Twin Towers. So this was which was memorialized in the movie The Walk, and previous to that, a documentary called Man on Wire, which was actually, both were good. Jordan Gordon-Levitt played Philippe Petit in the movie.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you saw both.
I did. They were excellent. And I'm considering, doing something similar here to try and one-up Nick Wallenda from going from the Leo Burnett building to Marina City. Remember that?
Oh, I know. I watched that.
That was fantastic.
We watched that live, too. That was fascinating.
So here's an idea
I
have for this independent researcher, assuming he's released from custody to go live with John Hinckley's mom.
Too soon.
It's too soon. You're not ready for it?
I'm not. No, I need a safe space. So,
there's these 8,000s, the 8,000ers. There's the 14 peaks in the world that are 8,000 meters or taller.
Yes, yeah.
And, of course, the first man to successfully summit all 14 8,000ers.
Dan Proft.
Reinhold Messner.
Okay.
Yeah, often confuse the two of us.
Yes.
One of us climbs mountains, the other does not. That's the difference.
The other climbs into his Mercedes-Benz.
That's right.
Yes.
And so what about that? What about if this independent researcher, if he really is committed to the Trump campaign,
right?
He summits all of Trump's properties.
Oh.
Just start in the south, like Mar-a-Lago, and then, obviously he's going to have to still complete his mission in Manhattan, come over to Chicago, the Trump Tower here.
Go to Panama City.
Yeah.
climb the Trump Tower
the
there.
clubhouse in Scotland
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
course. Now, that would show a kind of commitment.
Some people thought on Twitter, too, I was following this, that this was a publicity stunt by Trump to get, and then everybody's trying to figure out who was the climber, and people had fun with it.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of fun and a little bit of levity in this campaign because there's not much else about it that's particularly entertaining. And the flip side, again, Hillary's got this problem.
Yeah, during her event yesterday in Des Moines, Iowa, a Chicagoan nonetheless, a 26-year-old woman named Kelsey Atkinson.
Well, I said always got to be a Chicago.
Well, I know always, but she works for the animal rights group Direct Action Everywhere. So she jumped the barrier and nearly got on stage before being quickly tackled by Secret Service agents. And she was led away.
So that's the second instance of one of these goofy animal rights individuals, protesters trying to bum rush the stage at a Hillary event and having to have the Secret Service close ranks around her. It's interesting. I wonder.
People thought maybe somebody sent by Trump, somebody, the call to action to
give me a break.
attack Hillary. Oh, no, that's.
Of course, everything is Trump's fault. Everything is Trump's responsibility, and everything is Trump pulling a lever, turning a knob. It's silly, but it's not silly. Like these animal rights, this instance. Think about this again, just in terms of the media coverage. It's just so kind of quickly passed over because, they all go to these gala balls with celebrities raising millions of dollars for completely ridiculous organizations like PETA, sometimes violent organizations like PETA.
I mean, almost every year, remember when we were kids, back in the day, and PETA members would throw red paint on women wearing fur coats on Michigan Avenue. Guess what? They go buy more fur coats.
Do you have a mouse in your pocket? Because what is this we stuff? When we were kids, that's different generations.
No, we're from the same, sort of.
I'm a millennial.
Oh, no, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Millennial. Stop. You're the elderly. You're 72.
I am. I'm
a
decrepit old man. But I look very well preserved because of modern technology and so forth. But what about
and monkey poison in your face?
I mean, first of all, this is covered. I mean, there was an assassination attempt on Trump. Remember in Las Vegas?
Oh,
that's right. A guy planned it for a year, tried to grab a Las Vegas police officer's gun.
Right, went to the shooting range the day before, too, to practice.
That's a real assassination attempt. And this, these unhinged, lobotomized PETA protesters, and this is the coverage and Hillary closing ranks and the climate of violence that Trump has created, all of this stuff. Come on. I mean, and that story about that assassination attempt on Trump in Vegas was barely covered. So consider...
It came out 3 days later, too.
Yeah, consider how these things are covered and consider how incidents like the animal rights protesters charging the stage would be reported if it was like, a member of a Tea Party, a member of, the local Republican club or whatever. Of course, that would never happen because those individuals wouldn't do that. But the point is, it's very much like we talk about, there's, extremists and terrorists of all religious affiliations. Yeah, okay, well, why don't we start with a rank order of priority about where they seem to mostly reside, where they seem to mostly congregate.
Do you think that these animal rights activists are upset that Bernie Sanders didn't get the nomination? I mean, I think that they'd be more apt to tackle Trump than try and tackle Hillary.
I reject the premise that these animal rights activists think. Sean in Elmwood Park.
First off, the most dangerous thing that could happen to you in New York is if the police rescue you. Did you watch the video?
Yeah.
They beat the Durbin out of it. The one guy twisted his leg like it was a drumstick, and then afterwards they're all standing there like a bunch of pipe fitters. Yeah, we did what we could to save the perpetrator. Oh, really?
Well, they
put in an inflatable mattress underneath just in case he fell.
Hey, you try and climb the side of a building, then if there's a little bit of roughness,
They were fine.
No,
They just
I'd have
had
been fine if they tased them and watched them fall. I mean, it's one less disability. I mean, I'm assuming we're paying for this hospitalization. But listen, I was listening earlier, and I have to say something. Do you listen to Hillary Clinton talk? Am I the only one? Can you? I mean, what's with the? This is a woman who doesn't know happiness or pleasure. I think we should call her candidate Frau Brüher from Young Frankenstein. Every time you say her name, you play the horses in the background going. And this would be such an easy victory. Such an easy victory. If this guy would shut the hell up. It's every day, every single day, something stupid. Again, stupid. Do we not know what founded meant? I'm telling you, that's why they don't release his grades. He is a D student, and he is the founder of the Never Trump movement. If he would just shut the hell up from now until November, I think he would do much better. Have guys like Stephen Moore come on and interpret what he really doesn't mean and say he means it. He'll do fantastic. Because in the meantime, if not, we're going to listen to Frau Bruher for 4.5 years as they wheel out that weekend at Bernie, husband of hers, to tell us how great everything is. It's just nonsense. You could have won this. And another thing, let Gary Johnson in the debates. Why do you think they're keeping him out?
Because he's not at 15%. That's why they're not keeping him out. That standard was set before Gary Johnson was a candidate.
My wife's whole family are Democrats. All of them. All Democrats, all Union Democrats. They loved Trump up until about 4 weeks ago.
Well,
now none of them can stand him. Give these people another out.
All right,
or
Sean.
You get Ryan Priebus to yank them.
All right,
it's
Sean.
Not too late.
All right. You know, I want you to save some stuff because I have a programming note.
Oh, yeah. What's your program?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I don't think you are.
I'm sitting down.
Sean.
Oh, they're ready. Let them have it.
Would you?
Hey.
Sean from Elmwood Park will be sitting in all week next week for Joe Walsh. You are going to have 10 hours of this lunatic on our airwaves.
Awesome. 5 to 7
5
p.m.
to 7,
Yep.
Monday to Friday, starting Monday, right, Sean?
It was either me or the guy that scaled the building. They went with me.
Sean, congratulations. That's huge. Wait, and don't you guys have your cigar thing tonight?
Yeah, and I'm going to call in. We have the Prager event.
Prager event.
Yeah, and I'm going to call in every day next week to Sean's show and bust his chops like he busts ours as retribution.
That's right. And now we'll do what you do. Hang up on me and monologue to make me look like a dummy like Rush Limbaugh. Go ahead.
We don't do that.
I don't need to hang up on you or monologue to make you look like that, Sean. Thanks for the call. Mark in Des Plaines.
You know, whenever I hear Sean or anybody say this stuff about how Trump is putting his foot in his mouth, I have to call it what it is. It's the media. It's all the media. I mean, it's just constant. Their coverage of this is so biased.
So what should Trump do? What should Trump do? Because he can't change the media.
Yeah, well, what he should do is speak his mind, because you know what? At some point, it's going to backfire on the media, because everybody, at some point, I'm hoping this time that everybody, even the Democrats that I talk to, Dan, tell me that they recognize that the media is biased in this. I mean, it's more than biased. It's like this total attack thing. And Rush, by the way, Rush is right, you know. I mean, he eclipses anybody else on the radio. So, you know, Sean, you know, I love you, man, but you got to get your stuff straight. You got to call a spade a spade.
All right, he's got till Monday to get it straight. Thanks, Mark.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I can't wait. So Sean from Elmwood Park, Monday through Friday next week, 5 to 7 p.m., filling in for Joe Walsh.
That's right.
Must listen
Cinch it
to.
up and hunker down.
Yep. Forecast for today, plenty of sunshine, hot and humid, a high of 92 degrees. And tonight for your Bears-Broncos preseason game at Soldier Field, it's going to be warm and muggy, 76 degrees. And then a shower or thunderstorm late this evening. And Friday, we could have a couple of thunderstorms, mainly later, and some could be strong, a high of 87. Any strong travel times? Here they are. We'll get the latest from David Morrison. He's
Inbound side
filling
of
in for Jim Tillerman.
Inbound side of the Edens is 21 minutes from Lake Cook down to the junction. Outbound's 40 back out to O'Hare. Inbound earlier crash at Sayre is gone. 56 minutes from O'Hare. Outbound's 52. Highest travel time we're seeing right now is the inbound Eisenhower from 55 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound is even worse at an hour 6. Stevenson inbound 50 minutes from 355. Outbound's 43 back out to 355. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to downtown takes 25 minutes. Slow between 71st all the way into downtown. The rest of the expressways are fine. Lakeshore Drive southbound heavy Belmont to Fullerton, 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound's on the brakes from Balboa up to Jackson. Tri-State northbound heavy Archer to 31st, Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Eastbound Reagan, the earlier crash on the ramp to northbound 355 has been cleared. I-80 eastbound from Humboldt to Chicago Street, it's bumper to bumper. There's a stall in the left lane. And 65 southbound in northwest Indiana, still closed at State Road 10 because of an earlier semi that caught fire. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Join me, Dan Proft, that's me, for the 22nd annual Chris Lausen Porky Picnic happening Saturday, August 20th. Plenty of good food, lots of fun for the whole family, including an indoor trackless train, which I will ride, and raffles. The theme this year is Law Enforcement Officer Appreciation, and law enforcement officers can attend for free. So please RSVP in advance. For more information to purchase tickets, visit 560theanswer.com and search the keyword Porky. Many of you own or manage growing companies, and you know that your entire business depends on your phones. If your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it can mean lost revenue. That's often the case with an outdated phone system. The solution? Well, it's a company that we use here at AM 560, Innovative Networks. They excel at providing innovative solutions to reinforce your company's phone infrastructure and enhance call flow. We truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing solutions that scale as our business expands. Innovative Networks can even replace your outdated phone system at no cost and provide hands-on training to maximize your capabilities. You'll save money and be more focused on growing your business. Here at AM 560, we're thrilled with Innovative Networks, so follow our lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-453-7777. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-453-7777 or visit go4inet.com. That's go, the number 4, I-N-E-T, phonehome.com.
There's so many families in the Chicagoland area that cannot afford regular dental care. We take for granted our regular routine cleanings, but for many children and families, it's an added expense that's not in the budget. Yet oral health care impacts self-esteem and the ability to work, which is why the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic is committed to improving the oral health in our communities. I'm Lauren Feldner, speaking to you on behalf of the caring dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, who have addressed this issue by providing free basic dental services at the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic, which is located in DuPage County. At this clinic, we treat and educate patients and their families for free. We help them experience good oral health care. Our clinic is staffed with all volunteer dentists who depend on the generous support of donors to provide these services to Cook, Lake, and DuPage counties. Please help keep our free dental clinic open. Donations can be made at cdsfound.org. That's cdsfound.org. On behalf of the dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, thank you for your support.
Sean Thompson, owner of the Elmhurst Cigar House.
The Elmhurst Cigar House is more than just your typical cigar house. First of all, it's in downtown Elmhurst, which is a beautiful neighborhood. Secondly, our smoking lounge is reminiscent of a cozy living room. If you think you recognize the voice, you do. This is Sean from Elmwood Park. When you come into the Elmhurst Cigar House, it's not just you're buying a cigar, you're saying hello, and you're leaving. We're having a conversation. Odds are when you come to the Elmhurst Cigar House, we're going to talk a little bit about politics, but more importantly, we're going to talk about fundamental liberties. And one thing we reserve the right to do at the Elmhurst Cigar House is we reserve the right not to serve communists and Fabian socialists. Come and have a great cigar, but more importantly, have a better conversation.
The Elmhurst Cigar House, 114 Park Avenue, just west of York Street in downtown Elmhurst, right across from the metro station.
Come on in to the Elmhurst Cigar House for a great conversation, a fantastic smoke. I look forward to meeting you.
AM 560, The Answer.
The two sides of Sean from Elmwood Park, the screamer that was online too.
Yeah.
And then Sean from Elmwood Park, the cigar shop owner.
When he says, we reserve the right to not serve communists and socialists, if you say in that kind of room temperature tone of voice, it sounds perfectly
it's
reasonable.
Fine, yes,
and it is.
And he should throw in women too.
I appreciate it. So how about this, Amy? We're trying to achieve the unachievable, to achieve heaven on earth, and that means non-discrimination.
Okay.
All right? That's good, right? Non-discrimination.
Right.
We don't make judgments about things.
No, we don't.
Mm-hmm. Mother and son face up to 18 years in prison for love relationship in New Mexico.
I don't want to talk about this story. I saw this story.
You don't want to talk about love?
It's so gross. But I'm a mother and I have two sons, and I read this story yesterday, and I threw up in my mouth.
That sounds very judgy. Monica Maris and Kayla Peterson want to raise awareness of genetic sexual attraction relationships. That's a thing now. Peterson and his biological mother face a trial in September where they could each get up to 18 years in prison for violating the state of New Mexico's incest prohibition. But the mother and son have vowed to fight for their right to have a sexual relationship and are appealing to the public to donate to their legal fund.
Oh, wait, did they set up a GoFundMe page?
Incest is a crime in all 50 states, but should it be? Because that's discriminatory. As Mark Kirk told me, as he told everybody, all that matters in life is who you love and who loves you back. That's all that matters.
We knew it would come to this, though. I mean, I had a woman warn me decades ago, said, if you allow same-sex marriage, eventually what's going to be wrong with a mother marrying her son.
You can't,
so that the son could get her Social Security check. I mean, they love each other.
Well,
They're in a great relationship.
This is not a financial relationship.
No, that's a love and a
love. It's not love. It's a physical.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this is the road we're on. But to say anything is wrong is to make a judgment. Mm-hmm. And correspondingly, there's a new book out you may want to pick up.
Oh no!
If you're trying to, live the life of complete non-judgment. Book written by a philosophy professor at State University of New York in Fredonia, Stephen Kreshner, Pedophilia and Adult Child Sex, a Philosophical Analysis. Oh, boy. Sounds like a real page-turner. In the book, Professor Kreshner suggests that the moral status of pedophilia is blurrier than some care to assert. I wonder if Denny Hastert wrote the foreword.
Hey, too soon.
The sex intuitively strikes many people as sick, disgusting, and wrong, but wait. The problem is that it's not clear whether these judgments are justified and whether they are aesthetic or moral. Many people find it disgusting to view images of obese people having sex, but it's hard to see what is morally undesirable about such sex. Here, the judgment is aesthetic. That's an interesting comparison.
Can I go home now and take a shower?
Why? We're just talking about American culture 2016.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true, and it's only natural.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hey, if you're considering purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection, here's your opportunity to save. In August, Schrank Smoke & Gun is offering a 10% discount on all store-owned used firearms. And that includes Schrank's selection of clearance guns. Now, you've heard that Schrank's carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County, including pistols, rifles, shotguns, hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles. With hunting season rapidly approaching, get your rifle inspected and cleaned by Schrank's qualified gunsmith. Purchase optics from Schrank's, and they'll mount and bore sight your new scope at no charge. And cigar lovers, you will appreciate Schrank's humidors. To save 10% on used firearms, just visit smoke.gun.org or call 847-662-4034. Schrank Smoke & Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034 or online at smoke.gun.org. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Larry Klayman, founder of Judicial Watch, the shadow Department of Justice, talks to us about the emails regarding the Clinton Foundation that they have unearthed at 8:38.
And a new kind of service animal will explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
79, partly sunny right now. Canada's National Police Force says they have stopped a suicide bombing from happening by killing the man accused of planning it. Senior police official says Aaron Driver was killed in a police operation west of Toronto. Driver had been under a court order not to associate with the terror organization. Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton follows Donald Trump to Detroit. She will lay out her economic proposal today at the Detroit Economic Club. Yesterday, campaigning in Iowa, she said one of her focuses will be on small business.
And I believe in small business. That's why I want to be a small business president. And that's a big contrast with Donald Trump, who has spent his career stiffing small businesses.
Donald Trump on the campaign trail yesterday explaining that presidential debates are now his upcoming focus.
Well, I'd just like to see a fair moderator. That's all I'm looking for, because, we have a lot of very unfair people treating us as Republican and as conservatives.
The Republican presidential nominee also says it's unfair that some of the showdowns are scheduled at the same time as prime-time NFL football games. Montgomery County, Maryland Fire Chief Scott Goldstein says the search is on for several people who are reported missing following a huge explosion in fire in a Washington, D.C. suburb.
That's 5 to 7 residents within the building who are still identified as missing at this moment.
More than 90 are without a home. 150 firefighters battled that blaze. A story that may have an impact here in the Chicago area. Macy's says this morning they're closing 100 stores. The retailer announcing the move while releasing second quarter sales, while beating earnings expectations. And the news sending Macy's stock price up, sales are down, and the shuttering of stores is set to begin early next year. Cook County judge blocks the release of the Laquan McDonald juvenile records to the legal team of the Chicago police officer accused in his murder. Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart says his deputies made 230 arrests during a month-long sting operation aimed at prostitution customers. Royals beat the White Sox in 14 while the Cubs took care of the Angels 3-1. The news, a service of Cabela's. Whether you're new to the range or a longtime sportsman, you'll find great deals like $400 off a Cabela's Signature 64 safe and more this week at Cabela's in Hammond and Hoffman Estates. Plus, join them this weekend for their free safety education seminars, because responsible ownership starts at Cabela's. 8:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can't believe what's happening to the Clinton campaign.
But you want to hear how goofy the Democrats are right now? They want to blame the Russians for the WikiLeaks stuff. Here's the Clinton campaign manager, Robbie Mook, on CNN.
The Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump. I don't think it's coincidental that these emails were released on the eve of our convention here. We also saw
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas. Best beans, best roast, best coffee.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
If you think all banks are the same, it's time to think about Signature Bank Chicago. I'm Pete Olson, head of commercial banking at Signature Bank, where the people who own the bank operate the bank. Not in an abstract way, but in the same hands-on, personalized way that you run your business. We don't rely on a legion of business developers to find new relationships. We don't trust an outsourced phone bank to address your customer service needs, and we don't delegate decision-making to some anonymous credit committee that you'll never meet. We do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. Call us today to see the Signature Bank difference.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
8:37, Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time, and here is David Morrison.
21 minutes on the inbound Edens from Lake Cook down to the junction. The outbound side, 37 to get back out to Lake Cook. Inbound Kennedy, earlier crash at Sayre is gone. It's 53 from O'Hare. Outbound is 50. The Eisenhower inbound, 58 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. The reverse commute's an hour 10. Stevenson inbound, 52 minutes from 355. Back out is 38 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound, 95th to downtown, 25. Lakeshore Drive southbound, heavy Belmont to Fullerton, 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound's jammed Balboa to Jackson. Still have some pretty hefty tollway delays. Northbound Tri-State from 87th to 31st and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Eastbound 90 from Bussey to Lee. Westbound Lee over to Toohey. Big delays on the Reagan Tollway eastbound from 59 to Yackley, 53 to 355. Westbound's jammed near Route 53 with a crash on the left shoulder. 355 northbound heavy 75th to I-88 and then Army Trail to 290. Southbound 53, a minor tap of the brakes between Palatine and Kirchhoff. I-80 eastbound backed up between Humboldt to Chicago with a stalled semi blocking off the left lane. And in north Northwest Indiana, southbound I-65 remains closed at State Road 10, a much earlier semi-fire involving a hazardous materials situation. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. A hot and humid day ahead. Clouds and sunshine mixed and a high of 92. 79 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
See Alan West and Michelle Malkin at Freedom Summit Chicago 2016. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Dan and Amy, so more emails came out with respect to Hillary and her senior staff and their discussions during her tenure as Secretary of State, and they seem to indicate pay-to-play considerations that would accrue to the benefit of donors to the Clinton Foundation. So this is one of the big areas that we were hoping for a federal investigation in terms of the Clinton Inc., the Hillbilly House of Cards, leveraging the Secretary of State of the United States, that position, to enrich themselves. Well, we find that the Justice Department declined to pursue an investigation into the Clinton Foundation, characterizing the lack of evidence as the reason they did not. Well, it's interesting because even liberal journalists like Ron Fournier, who, like him or dislike him, he's actually played it pretty straight with respect to the Clintons and been pretty outspoken about their pay-to-play tendencies, their personal enrichment schemes, compromising public integrity in the process. And Fournier had this to say on Morning Joe yesterday about the emails that are unearthed, and this, again, is more emails that should have been disclosed at the outset, which were not, one of the myriad Clinton lies. But Fournier talking about what he understands to be true from high-placed Clinton sources and confidants.
Yeah, it actually wasn't me. It was people very close to the Clintons, including a source who's been working with the Clintons for more than 2 decades, who told me the week that the New York Times exposed this rogue server, that what this was all about was the foundation, that the blurring the lines between their political and professional lives, that's what was in the emails, was to look for the pay-to-play, this kind of favor giving.
So, but there's nothing to see here, according to Department of Justice.
No, even Rudy Giuliani, prosecutor, he said the Clinton Foundation makes an excellent racketeering case.
If only Larry Klayman was the United States Attorney General and not just the founder of Judicial Watch, but we appreciate the fact that he has served as the Shadow Attorney General for, these many years. Larry Klayman, founder of Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch, joins us now. Larry, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. So we've got 2 matters to discuss with you. The lawsuit by the parents of 2 of our great Americans murdered in Benghazi by terrorists, and the Clinton email matter. Why don't we start with the Clinton email matter? And these emails that, through your organization's effort, continue to be uncovered that are really, at minimum, providing more substantiation to a lot of the stories that have been told, including in Peter Schweizer's book, Clinton Cash.
This has been going on for a long time, going all the way back to the 90s when I uncovered the Chinagate scandal. The Clintons were selling everything in the White House and in government for campaign contributions and contributions to their library, primarily to communist China. And it blew up. There were campaign finance hearings. The Democrats dug up a little dirt on the Republicans. Everybody went home, and they came up with the McCain-Feingold campaign finance bill, which the Supreme Court threw a lot of it out as unconstitutional. Some of it remains. So this pay for play, and that's a nice way of putting it, it's really bribery. That's exactly what it is. And Rudy Giuliani's right. It is a racketeering scheme. In fact, I filed a complaint in Palm Beach Federal Court about 1.5 years ago. A Clinton judge threw the case out. It's up on appeal right now. And this is the story of this administration. They engage in of the Clintons. They engage in bribery. They have people that will run interference for them. The facts are starting to come out more and more. But the Clintons are the most corrupt couple. I call them the Bonnie and Clyde of American politics to ever occupy the White House, and now they want to reoccupy it again. And it's an outrage that our Justice Department has become a shill, a cover
for the Clintons and Obama and corrupt politicians in general. But it's nothing new. During the Clinton administration, Attorney General Janet Reno covered up that Chinagate scandal, and so did Eric Holder, who became Attorney General under Obama. And, of course, I've sued him recently, too, for inciting a race war, along with Farrakhan, Obama, Sharpton, and others.
So, Larry, what does this latest batch of emails show in order, in regards to her playing favorites with a number of Clinton Foundation donors?
This is just the tip of the iceberg. There are tens of thousands of emails that have yet to come out. The FBI needs to put its foot down. Of course, Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch, my group now, which I started after Judicial Watch, freedomwatchusa.org, is pushing to get all these emails. They're coming up sporadically, not fast enough because a lot of these judges are Obama-appointed judges, and they're dragging their heels to let Hillary win the election. That's not my purpose. Winning or losing is justice. But this is the most corrupt couple. It's going to start to come out. The American people need to understand that their government is for sale.
And when the State Department spokesman says, as one did yesterday, that after much probing to get past the kind of rhetorical fog, after much probing, that as far as she knows, that the rules were followed by Hillary Clinton and senior staff over at State Department regarding her agreement not to, essentially not to leverage the State Department for the Clinton Foundation, as well as with respect to the private server. What's your response to that based on the evidence you've uncovered?
Well, that spokesperson is just simply not credible. I mean, you look at his demeanor when he comes out and speaks. I would say it's a joke, but it's not a joke because this country is being destroyed by the internal corruption. We need to push. We need to get justice here. This country is sinking fast, and the reason it's sinking fast is because Washington, D.C., on both sides of the aisle, covers it up. It's part of a giant, it's like the National Football League. There's the American Conference and there's the National Conference. Democrats and Republicans, they scratch each other's backs. They go on cable news, but they never do anything about the corruption, and it's destroying our country like a cancer. So we're going to keep pushing in the courts. We're going to push in the courts of public opinion. But the American people need to understand we're in a revolutionary mode. This country is more corrupt than it was in 1776 when King George III took our legal system away back to London. It's been taken away primarily by people like the Clintons and Obama and others who have trashed it for their own personal gain.
Now, on this other matter of a lawsuit you filed on behalf of Patricia Smith and Charles Woods, the father of Ty Woods and the mother of Sean Smith, respectively, you filed a wrongful death claim against Hillary Clinton. Describe the nature of this civil complaint against Clinton.
That's right. It's a very simple complaint. This is very powerful. It's a direct legal shot at Hillary Clinton, that is. She, because of the use of that private email server, which was unsecured, the FBI has admitted that it was likely hacked. The Democratic National Committee says their servers, which were supposed to be secure, were hacked by the Russians, most likely by the Iranians, North Koreans, other hostile nations, that she gave up the location of Ambassador Christopher Stevens because she was communicating on an unsecured email private server, and that allowed terrorists to go in and kill the ambassador and those around him, like Sean Smith and Ty Woods. We're representing the parents of those brave heroes. So wrongful death through Hillary Clinton's, at a minimum, negligence, she caused the death of our client's sons. And then we also brought a lawsuit, it's the same lawsuit but a different count, for defamation because she told the families, including our clients' families, that their sons were killed because of a video that was made about the Prophet Muhammad that was critical. That she knew that was a lie. She told her daughter that, in fact, it was Al-Qaeda. She told the Prime Minister of Egypt that it was. And when our clients just simply said what Hillary had told them, she called them liars in public on a number of occasions. So that's defamatory.
And then the intentional infliction of emotional distress, right?
Yeah, and emotional distress. And this is a simple lawsuit. It's a very powerful lawsuit. It's the first time that we've had a clear legal shot at Hillary Clinton. And yes, we are serving as the People's Justice Department. People can see that complaint at freedomwatchusa.org. I am the founder of Judicial Watch, but I also founded Freedom Watch. And this is a very important case because our Justice Department, use the term "our" loosely, is taking a dive. Both the Justice Department and the FBI have swept everything under the carpet. We are left defenseless as a people. We have to do it ourselves, and we're using legal and peaceful means to try to do it.
Let me ask you a legal question on this suit against Hillary Clinton on behalf of the Benghazi families. Don't you have a sovereign immunity problem with Hillary to survive a motion to dismiss and actually get this to trial?
No, actually not. And the other night, Andrew Napolitano, I have a great deal of respect for, is simply wrong. I don't think he could research the question when he was on Fox. When you commit a crime, when you violate a federal statute, even as a federal official, you lose your
sovereign immunity.
And there's Supreme Court cases on that.
Right, but you'd have to prove an underlying crime since she has not been charged or convicted criminally of anything.
That's right. And the FBI director, at a minimum, by saying she acted extremely carelessly, in effect made a finding that she committed a crime, because that's the standard for misuse of classified information. It is a crime under federal law. And Rudy Giuliani, who's been on Fox a number of times, the former Deputy Attorney General, the former Mayor of New York, a fine lawyer, has detailed, and others, including myself, at least 17 criminal violations that Hillary Clinton committed. So that's in front of the court. If you commit a criminal violation or even violate a federal statute as a federal official, you lose any immunity.
All right. He is Larry Klayman, founder of Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch. Larry, thanks for joining us. Keep up the great work.
You're welcome. God bless. Thank you very much.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, a new type of service animal. But first, here's your forecast. Plenty of sunshine and heat and humidity all day long, a high of 92 degrees. Tonight for your Bears-Broncos preseason game at Soldier Field. You don't need to bring an umbrella. It's going to be muggy and a shower or thunderstorm well after the game's over. And Friday, a couple of thunderstorms around, mainly later in the afternoon. Some can be strong with high winds, a high of 87 degrees. Let's get the travel times one more time. How is that inbound Kennedy, David Morrison?
Well, the inbound Kennedy's not too bad. We did have an earlier crash at Sayre, but it's already been cleared out of the way. However, bad news, there's a new crash at the same location. Left lane's blocked off at Sayre. It's 53 minutes from O'Hare, 37 from Montrose, 35 in the express lanes. Outbound's 50 back out to the airport. The outbound Eden's 35 out to Lake Cook. Inbound's 21. Inbound in the Ike, it's an hour from Thorndale. Outbound's 58 minutes. Stevenson inbound from 355 is 52 minutes. Outbound is 38. Dan Ryan inbound 25 minutes from 95th Street into the Burns Circle. Lakeshore Drive southbound, new crash in the left lane at Belmont. Northbound's tight Balboa to Jackson. The Tri-State northbound's heavy 87th to 31st, and then Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Still have some pretty hefty delays on 90 and 88. 88 westbound at Route 53. Still a crash in the left shoulder. I-80 eastbound, heavy traffic 55 to Chicago, still with a semi that went off into the ditch. The left lane is currently blocked. And 65 southbound still backed up approaching State Road 10. All lanes are still blocked off as they clean up an earlier semi-fire. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chances are you've had a tax problem, or know someone who has, or will have one. Bad taxes can happen to good people. Tax Defense Partners has been in the industry for almost 20 years. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, don't wait. Call 800-684-7777 now. Waiting can risk wage garnishing, compounding fees, interest, and more. Don't fight the IRS alone. Call Tax Defense Partners at 800-684-7777.
In 1941, Reinhard Heydrich was one of Hitler's highest-ranking commanders and the architect of the final solution. The daring secret mission to take him out was codenamed Anthropoid. Based on the untold true story, critics are calling Anthropoid action-packed. It earns its place in the pantheon of World War II movies.
If we fail, freedom will be wiped from the map.
Anthropoid Resistance has a code name. Rated R. Under 17. Not admitted without parent. Starts tomorrow.
If you're serious about selling your home, now is the time. Supply is low and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. I've done the research, and along with my Salem Radio colleagues, Mike Gallagher and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. That demand helps sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul, SAUL.net, or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy got Sam Jackson's next movie, Monkeys, on a plane. Airport official for Frontier Airlines says monkey on flight that reportedly got loose was a certified service animal. Amy, I know you're in the market for a service animal because of your faked disability.
Oh my gosh, there's no fake disability.
Wow.
I have my dog Bunky is in the process of becoming a service dog.
Right.
For emotional support.
Because you have a temporary foot injury. Yeah, good luck with
and
that.
And a heart condition and some high blood pressure. And you want me to go on and tell you?
Oh,
we don't have
boy.
enough time
The
in the
tale of
day.
woe.
But no, I've heard. I mean, there was a turkey on a plane once that Delta had to allow on because it was a service animal, a turkey. And the best picture ever, go on Twitter, is this turkey sitting next to this man, and they're both looking at each other like, "Why are you sitting here?" And the turkey's like, "Why are you sitting here?"
Right.
It's great.
So,
But this, so
perhaps
she had a monkey.
An airplane sequel.
I've seen a potbelly pig as a service animal.
The monkey reportedly got loose. It turned out was every which way but loose.
Oh, hey.
Remember Clyde in the Clint Eastwood movie?
Oh, yeah, Clyde.
She did not get loose, was with his keeper.
Yeah.
Never loose in the cabin. It was always with the passenger it was traveling with, but a certified service animal that's a monkey. I like this kind of broader interpretation of both those who need service animals and the choices of service animals for me. And the emotional distress that you're giving me, the punitive damages that you're giving me, if I could do my Saul from Jerky Boys.
You would have your
Slow Loris.
Your Slow Loris.
Yeah.
I can get you certified.
The problem is you don't want your service animal to kill you, and if you get stung by a Slow Loris, it can induce anaphylactic shock.
Oh, okay. Sounds like a perfect animal for you.
We're going to keep working on this, though.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Well, Bunky will be here. They can't discriminate against me if I get her certified. She will be in this studio every day.
And you will both be wearing bright orange flak jackets, too, to designate both the service animal and the person being served.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Active lifestyles demand that the food you eat have a purpose, but that doesn't mean you can't indulge in your favorite foods. With Muscle Mac macaroni and cheese, you can finally eat the macaroni and cheese you love and still maintain a healthy diet. With GMO-free pasta and real cheese, with no synthetic dyes, colors, or artificial flavors. Muscle Mac's creamy, cheesy sauce blankets the high-protein pasta for a burst of flavor in every bite. Muscle Mac delivers 20 grams of protein in every delicious serving. Fortified with added vegetable and dairy proteins, it's an affordable and healthy alternative to animal proteins. Just one serving of Muscle Mac mac and cheese provides 40% of your recommended daily protein intake and can be a great addition to a balanced diet. This isn't any ordinary macaroni and cheese. Muscle Mac is made with more real cheese than any other brand. It's a yummy and satisfying meal for your whole family after a full day of activities or anytime you crave the comfort of a delicious bowl of mac and cheese. Available now at Jewel Osco and Pete's Fresh Market throughout Chicagoland.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. You know, hormone balance is a big deal. If your hormones are out of whack, it can account for so many health challenges like low energy and fatigue, spaced out memory, low sex drive, otherwise known as the dead in bed syndrome. Nothing excites you anymore with you watching more and more TV every night, misusing food or alcohol, and then there's the hair loss that you thought was age appropriate, and then the weight gain. Let me tell you about our specially priced, dirt cheap hormone test. No blood, just saliva. Interesting that with over 33 years in private practice, I've never seen normal hormone test results in the first go-around. And that's why you need to have us help you balance your hormones once and for all. So call our HealthQuest radio hotline at 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. No blood, just spit. Call 800-794-1855. Oh, and be sure to listen to HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. But for now, call 800-794-1855.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And like after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
Oh, I had back